Here at the Phill Lee Mania podcast, we're passionate about drifting history, so here's a little history lesson. Back in 2003, Falken Tires did what no other tire company in the US did. They promoted drifting by sponsoring Falken Drift Show-Off, and they brought legendary Japanese drifters Koguchi and Seigo Yamamoto to judge and do demos. They sponsored grassroots drivers, and when FD was established, they supported the series and drivers for 19 years. When we approached Falken about partnering with us, they were happy to come on board because they care about drifting culture and they support our mission to document drifting both past and present. Thank you, Falken Tires, for playing an important role in drifting around the world and for making Season 2 our best season yet. For more information, please visit Falken Tires' website at falkentire.com and check out their IG at Falken Tire. You're listening to the Phill Lee Mania podcast Season 2, brought to you by Falken Tires. Here we document the history of drifting by interviewing the OGs and trendsetters of drifting culture. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Phill Lee Mania podcast. I'm your host, Benson Su, and I got with me my co-host and co-producer, Nadine Su. What's up, babe?
Hey, honey buns.
And we got our audio and video engineer, Mark Mondoy. What's up, Mark?
Yo, what's up, everybody?
Hey, Marky Mark.
How you guys doing?
It's a good day.
It's a good day.
It's a good day because I have one of my favorite people.
Me?
You. But another favorite, a favorite friend.
Okay.
On the
Mark?
podcast today.
Mark.
Oh, well, I mean, Mark is my favorite friend, but even another one of my favorite friends is our guest today.
Oh.
And, before we, start interviewing one of my favorite people in the world, I want to talk about our prep for this interview because we've been busy, but, I'm always hearing you on the phone prepping. And it's like, I know you prep, but I was hearing you prep. And I thought the listeners should know how hard you work on these interviews, just prepping for it. Because, we talk to the guests beforehand. We have them do a questionnaire. But I think what a lot of people don't know is what else you do in addition to that, which is kind of crazy.
I think, I always feel like I owe it to the guest to do some homework, right? And some guests are a little harder than others, maybe like a Chris Forsberg would be a lot easier just because there's so many articles about him. Wikipedia is full of stuff about him, probably. I don't remember. But, there are other guests. And, a lot of our guests, from season 1, they were the behind the scene guys and the unsung heroes.
Yep.
And so those guys, if I don't personally don't know the history really well, I got to dig and do some research.
Yeah, we owe it to them to kind of stalk a little bit. It's not even digging. I feel like it's stalking.
It is a little bit of stalking.
And the way you do it is you're calling their friends.
Sometimes I gotta call people.
So Benson was on the phone with Phil's crew for the last couple of days, just yo, I gotta talk to you about Phil. And then you're on the phone for half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, talking to them about Phil.
Yeah.
And Phil didn't know that. He's probably blushing. But, and I was on the call today. We're even driving home. And we're on the phone with another one of Phil's friends. Yeah. So I love hearing those convos, though.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to catch up with them.
And that's how I get the tea, guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
We get the insider information.
That's right. So, because I ask the good questions here. So anyway,
that's right.
Let's intro our guest today.
Okay. So this guy is an OG of drifting in the Midwest in the Chicago area. He's one of the founders of ClubFR, a mainstay for drifting events in the Midwest since 2003. Through ClubFR, he hosted the RSR Drift Festival, FD Pro-Am Chicago, and eventually Final Bout. And the best thing about this guy is he's the first guy this season, I think, who's one of the unsung heroes that we were doing, the guest that we were interviewing heavy in season 1. So I'm glad to bring this back to that. If you're from Chicago, you know who he is, but if you're not, you probably don't because he works in the background a lot. But without him, a lot of things would be very different today. So without further ado, Phill Lee, welcome to the podcast.
Hey!
Thank you for
Welcome,
the kind
Phill.
words.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's kind of a trip.
It's kind of a trip, and I gotta say that I've heard from a friend that you kind of feel a little uneasy about doing this podcast.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess spending time, I don't know. It's just weird.
It's okay. You don't gotta be all PC here. Okay, it's just us, bro.
We gotta be all PC Lee.
It's all good. PC Lee.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't spend a lot of time talking about myself, so it feels funny,
Yeah.
But you're gonna do a lot today.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We're gonna get it out of you.
I know. But you guys are fam,
Yeah.
And yeah. I've been cheering for you guys for a minute.
Yeah, thank you so much.
To see you guys always transitioning. Yeah. Power couple.
Yeah.
Well, we're your fans, for sure.
Oh, well, thank
and
you.
people need to hear your story because it's just crazy. Even on the ride home today when we were talking to Josh and he was
from
telling
Proceed.
us.
Josh.
Sorry, Josh from
I'm not
Proceed.
even going to try to say his last name. I'm
I
just going
know.
to say Josh from Proceed.
Wrong.
Josh
yeah,
M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
from Proceed.
Revgasm.
And
Revgasm.
you're basically like his motto. So, and people will
word.
get into that,
Yeah.
but he said some really nice
That's
things
dope.
about you. And we'll get to that because I got some quotes
Yeah.
from that
Appreciate
convo.
you, Josh.
Yeah. But lots of love. But everyone
Cool.
holds you in such high regard.
Yep.
So
Before we get into
thank
the
you.
history of Phill Lee, I want to talk to you about, can you describe when you fell in love with drifting?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't Initial D, was it? No. I don't think so. I don't know. I think it was just going to this Honda shop back in the day, and we watched option videos. Oh, actually, no. There was the first time I seen it. Actually, was at a car show at a Yaohan Mitsuwa, and there was a truck with a VCR in the back, and they were playing those option videos that they ended up renting from the bookstore.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, it was a trip. But I don't know if that was when I loved it.
what year was that when you first saw drifting?
Probably like 98.
Oh,
98.
wow.
Yeah, it was high school. And I was just wanted a car bad. Wanted a Type R at the time,
Yeah.
which also connects to Josh later.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a trip. But yeah, I guess I really just truly fell in love with it, I guess. Yeah, watching option videos
Okay.
at like a Honda shop,
Yeah.
It's very
of all
random.
places. Yeah.
So tell me, were you already like deep into cars? I mean, you're at a Honda shop, so you had already been into cars and you're only in high
Yeah.
school. So
Yeah.
when did you first start getting into cars?
I mean, I don't know. Like ever since I was a kid, I was always messing around with cars. I crashed my dad's car when I was like 3 or 4, I think.
What?
Yeah. I was
What?
playing
You
with like the steering column,
Uh-huh.
and then
While it was
just rolled
on?
into
Oh,
a
no,
tree. Yeah. So we drove like the car was at like a park, right, or we were having like a family picnic or something like that, and I just was playing with it while and then it just rolled into a tree, and I crashed it. Then
Nice. Your first accident.
yeah, busted like my dad's van because I was playing with the hinges for the hood, and then I finally popped it, but then I was too small to pop it back down, so I didn't tell him, and then he drove it on the highway, and it just like
But
flew up, smashed his mirror. Yeah, so really, yeah, being into cars, I don't know, yeah, stupid shit like that, But I don't know I don't know. I always remember holding the toy car, always remembering like what taillights look like. I was just
Yep.
obsessed with it. It was like
Yeah.
probably autism or something to a certain degree, right? Where it was like just everything, right?
you're fixated
No.
on it.
Yeah. So, but then I guess like when it became more tangible, it's probably like 8th grade-ish, right? When you start seeing
Yeah.
some of these like kids like joyriding around, and it's just like, oh, you can start driving, and
Yeah.
I don't know, you get to try to like think about what do you want to drive. Oh, well, I like this car and that car, right? And at the time, it was probably, I don't even know. It was probably imports,
Yeah. Was
If
this
not, it was like
mid-90s?
Mustangs. Yeah, or it might have been like Mustangs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like 5.0 Fox body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like in Menace to Society, with the Daytons.
With the Daytons.
You know what I mean? Yeah, with the Daytons, you know what I mean? So like those are the type of cars, But then getting into like cars that you could like tune, probably like high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were imports popular back then in your area?
Yeah. There were imports. There was a lot of ratty ass Hondas.
Yeah.
Like Accords, Civics.
What was your first car?
First car was an FC.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You fancy.
GTUS. Yeah, I thought it was a V6. That's how stupid I was. But that was the beginning of like learning about cars, right?
How'd you get an FC as your first car?
I just saved up money. It was like $4,000 at a dealership.
Yeah.
It was like 100,000 miles on a rotary. Probably shouldn't have bought it, at the time. And then, yeah.
Why an FC? Did you know what it was when you bought it?
Yeah. But I didn't know about the engine and stuff like that, right? It wasn't like how we were like, otakus and stuff like that where they can tell you everything, right? It was just a cool car. I think I had a remote control car as a kid.
Yeah.
That was a SA22C.
Nice.
And then I got another one as a Racing Beat FC. And I think just having that car always being one of my favorite toys.
Yeah.
Just connected that way.
RX-7, RX-7.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you do anything cool to it?
Yeah. Very stupid things to it.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
I
Let's
want to
hear
hear
it.
the stupidest thing, please.
I mean, I took it to a Puerto Rican shop because in that area, Puerto Ricans and rotaries at the time, right, was like the only place you could really access it, right, other than Mazda dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted more power, and then he's basically like, well, you got a turbo 2 engine, and basically all you could do is just like mess with this actuator, and you'll just have full boost. And I was like, all right, cool, let's try it, right? It was free. Like within like 20 miles, I blew an apex seal clearly, and I was rolling home on one rotor. And that was like a short-lived. Yeah, I learned that $4,000 is not easy to work for and blow. That was a stupid mistake. Yeah, and I didn't know like everyone else is telling me it's gonna cost me like a couple grand just to fix it. I was like, out of luck.
Yeah.
So then I just bought a $500, I think, pig nose 89 240.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never knew you had a 240.
Yeah, that was like before I knew what drifting was really,
Okay.
or like before I was into drifting, right?
Okay.
It was just, but it was a 5-speed and it was $500,
Yeah.
and
Well, then you became into like AE86. And, for hachirokus, it was funny when we're talking to Josh, especially, it was like hachiroku this, hachiroku that. And I'm like, really? And it's funny because I've known you for so long, but he was just telling me what like a hachiroku otaku freak you are. And so how did you get into that? And how many have you had?
I got into it initially, Corollas, I wasn't into it because of drifting. I was into it because I discovered it through like the Chicago's, I guess, like car culture or like whatever street racing culture at the time was, and it still probably is, but it's like drag racing a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like a really big entry point just because I think there's long stretches of roads, and also it's kind of like a pretty accessible way to just mess around with cars,
It's
right?
free.
So
It's free.
yeah, exactly.
But also,
so
this is like
it was
mid
huge.
90s, right?
This is like late 90s.
Late
for me.
90s, yeah. It's late 90s. It was
participating in
it was car shows and drag racing, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, mid 90s and
Yeah.
like the Nopi Nationals, all that stuff, even
Yeah.
like nationally, right? But
Yeah.
in Chicago, it was like a pretty big, like I think part of like street racing culture.
Okay.
You know. So anyway, saw these like Corollas that were just super like slicks and skinnies, and there's like chromed out Weber side draft, like 4 ACs even, and they're
Wow.
just trying to run like their 20-second quarter miles, but trying to be faster than the other Tercel or something.
Yeah.
It was like, it's kind of like, it's grimier, right?
Yeah.
it's not like as sexy as like a 400 horsepower Camaro, you know?
Right.
But for some reason, I was just enamored by the fact that like there was Corollas everywhere, you know, and there's Puerto Rican flags in every window. You know, it just felt like it was like, you know, something, I don't know, prideful, important, right? So I kind of like, you know, admired that car for a while, you know. Eventually I got to the point where I get to own one, you know, kind of partially due to getting into drifting, but also kind of remembering like how that feels, you know. With those Corollas when I first saw them, and just got one for $500. Josh and we went down to the Puerto Rican neighborhood in the city,
Yeah.
and that's where we picked it up. You know, what was the question again?
Well, you know, you had
I'm taking like this
one.
along.
I know
Yeah.
you've had multiple, including
Oh, yeah.
even till today. So tell me.
Yeah.
So you had the first one. You had the $500 one, and then
Ratty Roach.
I seen some pictures of that one.
There's pictures of it.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't know how many you had, but I saw one that was flat black with
oh yeah, that's third.
some writing on it.
Yeah.
Writing?
Doo-doo. There's crink on it. Yeah. Oh, so you got some photos. Okay. Yeah. There's some photos. Yeah. Bro, I was a weird kid, you know? I don't know why I did that, but yeah. I mean, I had a flat black Corolla, 87, GTS.
87,
from
okay.
NorCal. Yeah, Cookie. And then, it came primered, and I just was too, like, broke to, like, want to do it all, and I wanted to do the suspension, I wanted to do all that, right? I just didn't, you know, venture into keeping up with the Joneses when it came to nice paint, you know?
Yeah.
In true Corolla lifestyle,
Well,
right?
so
being
I mean,
broke.
you were introduced to the hachiroku through Puerto Rican street racing culture, right? How did you make the transition from that influence to Japanese influence? How did that go down?
It comes down to, I mean, you know, I know like there's a bigger arc to the story, but like, you know, the people that I was spending time with changed, right? And that's like, you know, where we have like Josh as like, you know, a reference, right? And spending time with car people like him, you start to kind of adventure into other like types of ways to get into cars, like motorsports, right? Because at that time, I didn't think of drag racing necessarily as a motorsport. I just thought of it as like more counterculture.
Yeah.
You know, I might have not called it that back then.
Yeah.
You know, but it was with cars, and then drifting kind of like galvanized that idea with like a place to do it and a thing to do and a thing to develop, right? So I think that really just took to me that it was exciting and it seemed accessible and it seemed affordable, which it definitely was not.
But you started hanging out with people like Josh, and then that's how the interest in Japanese style, or what we call now JDM, your JDM influence.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably happened a little bit before because I was reading the Super Streets and stuff like that too. You know? And that was like mid-90s, right?
Yeah.
You know? But I wasn't like as like immersed into it. And the JDM, like you're saying, right, to go even deeper into like the differences between the Japanese versions versus this and all those like obsessive details. Yeah, that happened by hanging out with him, because all we do is we would just meet up in parking lots, you know, like him and many of us, right?
Right.
I mean, we just talk about cars and how this has this and this has that and what we want and why, you know, and then we go driving, right? And so we're just like sharing information, right?
So when did you go? I know you went street drifting, you bad boy. So tell me,
Not much.
when did you start that? Was that around that era when you were hanging out with
Josh? That
Josh?
was like 2000. Yeah, a little bit after, because I think Josh had to go away for school for a little bit, right? And so that's when, like, you know, he would come back periodically from breaks, you know? So during that time, you know, just like there's other groups that I was kicking it with, right? And then we ended up, I think, on ClubFR 80, and we found, like, you know, like each other from the Chicago area, and then we met up eventually.
From my BBS.
Yeah.
The Lady Mania forum.
That's so funny.
Pretty sure.
That's what Rob remembers, and that trips me out. 'Cause, I mean, he always makes a big deal out of it because you guys were all in the same area, but you're finding each other through my website.
Through you, yeah. But that's how I think important, like, you know, like your presence was, you know, for what you were doing, to even document it, right? I'm sure there's other people that you know during that time, but like the way you presented it, and then you also created like a forum to have other people join. Like, I think that was like an important thing for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, at that time, there wasn't. I mean, not to say you aren't great, but there wasn't. You know, like there's no resource. You can like look up, does this tire and this wheel fit on this fender now?
Yeah.
Back then, hammer or just use a baseball bat and see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Or there are people telling you it won't fit when it does fit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like we didn't have that kind of space, and like still 80 mania was like a rare thing, right?
Yeah.
You know.
The otaku hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you start street drifting?
Probably around that time, 2000. Oh, like 2002, 2003. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go out with Rob with a cone in the trunk, like he had said. Yeah.
That's so
I mean,
nerdy,
you know,
man.
it's kind of romantic, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, we're just hanging out. I mean, honestly, like he just became like, you know, a brother, and then we just were hanging out all the time. And it would just be cars. He listens to terrible music, but I still love him, right? You know?
Josh does?
No, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
Josh and me, we like this.
No.
Yeah.
Same. I was going to say, don't
he
you
was like
talk
freestyle
about
music and
Yes.
Oh my God.
Benson he can't roll with us, okay? You, me, Josh, we roll with music.
Yeah.
I roll with music, just a little bit of freestyle.
No.
Yeah.
Benson's a hater. I don't like our music. Josh told me a really good story about you teaching him how to rev match from like, you know, third to second to first.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Josh, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Josh, but like anytime he sees someone rev matching from second into first, he has to talk about it. Like that's his thing. He loves rev matching from second to first. But he said that you kind of showed him. He said that it kind of spoke to your otaku-ness about like you knew how to do that in your car, and you had to do there's some kind of trick you had to do like
with the synchros.
And you had to like barely get into the third gear gate.
Yeah.
And then it would go into first or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was like you had to tap second. Yeah,
he was like amazed by that.
I don't even remember that, but thank you.
That's all you.
I inspired him to break transmission. Yeah. I mean, he does do that though, but it's so rowdy though coming out of a corner first gear in those small courses.
Yeah.
It's just, But anyway, yeah. Oh yeah, rowdy. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to quote Josh. Phill is such an intellectual, well-spoken person, but when he's in the driving seat, he's a barbarian. Do you think that's true?
No.
I don't know, bro.
I mean, maybe. It's yeah. I mean, maybe. I just had a slow car, right? So it just looks like crazy, but you're not going fast.
No, but you got to drive it like that to make it look fast, right?
Yeah. This is a weird car to try to...
But anyway, is 2001, 2002, it's the drifting scene, right? In the Midwest. Like, you guys are kind of the early adopters. Like, describe it to us. Like, how many people around you were drifting? Specifically, where were you drifting? How long after was it, like, when you were actually going to go do sanctioned events? Like, what's the timeline?
It's kind of blurry. Like when I was filling out the questionnaire, right, I was trying to prep too. It's like I had to call like some people, be like, "Hey, was this?" I'm like searching emails, like Gmail, like 2001. You know what pops up? Oh, I bought this. What an idiot. But I guess it was like right. I don't know, like probably 2003-ish. We just met up, you know, or possibly before 2002, probably. We met up on a forum, like Still 80, and then we met in a garage in the South Side. Someone that we knew, his dad's glass shop, like car glass shop, and then we just kind of just awkwardly introduced ourselves and talked about that, like we wanted.
You say like, "Hi, I'm," and then you put your screen name, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, basically it was like AIM, right, for real. And true that. I didn't even think of it like that. Yeah, you're right. because I still call these people by their screen names even to this day.
Like
this
Crab.
guy Brian Crab, right?
Yeah.
Stuntman, like it's Dave, but it's like Kid Dynamite. As simple as I still call Simba, right?
Kid Dynamite.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna say that. No. But so we all met up and it was kind of cool, right? But I wasn't sure
why did you guys meet up? What was the reason for it?
Because we wanted to do what we saw with I believe it was probably, for me at least, I was referencing Drift Days, right? Drift Association.
Yeah.
They're doing it. And look, we need something like that here, because I think up until that point, I was doing autocross with Rob. And we were trying to drift those courses here and there. And the old heads in the Miata Autocross Club that his dad was also a part of, they knew that we were there to try to drift.
Yeah.
And they basically, as soon as we drifted, they would just give us a DNF, right?
Yeah.
So we would just drift the whole rest of the course or whatever, right? But they were kind of some of them were kind of like the grumpy old guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like street racing where they're running from cops. It was just like we had angry old dudes at us,
That's so funny.
But then
your experience at autocross is exactly the same as ours.
No, I think they were nice to you because of Rob's dad. They didn't kick you out. We got kicked out.
Well, we got kicked out, but I mean, it was so frowned upon. It was you misfits.
Yeah, or if they see if they're doing drivers meeting and they see us there,
drifters,
they gotta talk about drifting. Drifting is not allowed. If we see you drifting, you're gonna get kicked out.
Yep.
They knew.
He didn't get kicked out.
Profiling.
Profiling. That's right.
Yeah.
Profiling.
Yeah.
Not cool, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But eventually we ended up, just kind of streeting, but that got old quick, right? Because how long can you other than doing warehouse stuff, because there's a lot of industrial yards in certain, in Simba's and Crab's neighborhood in that area.
What are those neighborhoods?
Bolingbrook, Elgin-ish, off of 55, 53, I believe, can't remember now. But they're basically, it's far out enough where you can see tornadoes sometimes, right? So there's still, it's outskirts of Chicago, but it's close and far enough, right? It's a driving city, LA.
Yeah.
So that was, but it was too far for us, for some people, right? Or, and then I think eventually those spots just kind of got stale quick, and then Rob and I were in IKEA parking lots with cones, trying to connect light posts, right? It's just at some point, we have to go past that, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just, I don't know.
So it was something where you wanted to advance the sport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now I remember some more details.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah. No. So before that meeting, actually, it was I was hanging out with Josh, and then there was this guy John Lockefear, John Ams, and a couple other folks that were from the Honda side and the whatever side and street racing, Wangan, whatever, right? Just people that we met at car meets eventually, and then we got together at this Starbucks, and there was a private room, and we were all in there, and we were just trying to figure out what can we do, let's do something serious or whatever, and let's actually be more official. And we came up with a name called Rowdy Racing, which was R3. And so we were running with that for a little bit, right? But it didn't quite get a chance to get anywhere, because then we ended up getting to this point where we're meeting at this glass garage, glass shop.
Try number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so at that point, we weren't sure who was serious or who's not, who's there, because they're just, weirdos that just want to hang out with car people, right? The perception of people meeting up from the internet for me at that time was I was judgmental of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is some loser shit, but I don't know why I'm doing this, right? In the back of my head, I had a little bit of that conversation, meeting up, people from the internet. I got real friends, trying to make myself feel, and that was me, though. I can't say for anybody else. But anyway, that meeting, was kind of cool. We were talking more seriously about, what can we do, who knows what to do? Do we need lawyers and stuff like that? So, the conversation was not just, just slapstick, right?
Yeah.
Or, trying to talk about cars. It was, truly everyone was down. We had people from Iowa that drove in, and locals as well. So, yeah, that was, I think,
You really wanted to get it on the track and up the level of drifting in Chicago. Is that why?
Yeah, for sure. Or I wanted a place to do it, right?
Yeah.
I wanted it to be where we could have our drift days, right? We go to these autocross events, and there's a ton of them, right?
Yeah.
For every car, or even crappy cars, right? Sebrings or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a Sebring Club autograph, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And
You
so
wanted
like,
something
how
that
come we
was your...
can't? Yeah, why can't we have something like that, right? You know, and so I think that's what inspired, like, let's figure this out, because it doesn't seem like anyone's doing it with with how best we could use the internet at the time, right?
Yeah.
So
And
it didn't seem like it.
What year
This
is
is like 2002, 2002 probably.
Okay.
You know, like Simba, we met there. He was in high school still, right?
Yeah.
He barely had dirt on his lip, you know? No.
What a cutie pie.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, that's just like how like young we all were, right?
Yeah.
Like,
When Kid Dynamite was still a kid.
Yeah, he's still a kid. I mean, Black don't crack shit, you know? But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty weird thing to be serious about, because the rest of my life I wasn't serious about.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting
it gave me,
because
like, a focus.
Because, you know, while we were doing our research,
Stalking.
they all realized that you all were young, and that you all were misfits to a certain extent, but also that they were completely happy with just being punk kids street drifting.
Yeah.
And that you were the one that all of a sudden brought this level of organization and professionalism and turned it into something else.
Oh, damn.
They all credit you for that.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
I mean,
it's interesting, like that for the first time in your
way.
life that you did that. It was then when you guys were
That's dope.
were having that meeting.
Yeah.
It happened.
Well, thank you.
It happened. Accept it. It did.
Yeah.
And everyone
I
said
appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So
I'm wealthy.
tell me how you got hooked in with Drift Association, because I know this is, you guys are trying to find your way. Did you go rent out tracks first, or did you call them, or how did you guys get linked in with Drift Association?
Well, out of that meeting, you guys, that's when you established ClubFR, right? That's what you were trying to get to.
Yeah. Well, no. Eventually we did. From that meeting, we broke off, and then, we just kind of kept in touch and started like hanging out for car meets for a little bit, right?
Okay.
But nothing. Rob and I, somehow, I don't know exactly how it happened, we kind of met up again, right? And it just, I don't know, it was supposed to be something, I don't know, I didn't expect much of it, right? Just like, cool, right? I ain't got nothing to do, whatever, and we just hang. And then, like, it kind of clicks pretty good, right? Like, what he wants, he seems pretty serious about it, right? Like, and as I soon came to find out that, like, that's just who he is, right? When it comes to building cars and doing all these things, right? And so, like, I think I caught that energy quick, where I was like, oh, this is not like some bullshit who just want to, like, be known and pick up girls or whatever, right? Like all these, like I was surrounded by a lot of different groups of people, right? And a lot of them I think weren't like these like positive like influences, right? And then I meet someone like him who was very different, because most of the people I was around was just trying to like kick it or do this or run game or whatever, right? And he was like serious about like very systematic, in his approach to everything. So I was like, oh, like he's asking questions that I didn't even think about, right? So it was good to like meet up again, and then we hung out, and eventually I ended up moving out of Chicago and to Madison, which is here now, because I came for school, but I had already made the plans before I met him, right? So it's like kind of like meeting this girl, and then you really like her, but now you got to move, yeah.
And then that song comes on, like
it's like yeah.
Oh, that shy song.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like like it was like it's like I had a lot of love, right? Because at that point it was like, oh man, like this is what I want to keep doing, right? So eventually we ended up meeting in the middle. It's very romantic rendezvous, in some like rest stop, right? And we just hung out for hours at a diner, and we just started figuring out, all right, like what are we gonna call it, right? How are we gonna incorporate it? What state are we gonna do it in, right? Just all the details, right? And it just kind of like organically like accelerated into that.
Okay.
And so from that point, I guess, like, we created something together. So now we were destined to spend a lot more time together, right?
Yeah.
So that we could nurture.
You guys had a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
A baby named ClubFR.
Yeah,
Is that right?
But then again, I brought Rowdy Racing. He's like, he's really polite about it. He's like, no,
Oh, so Rob,
Make a face.
Shut you down.
so Rob came up
He
with
was
the
like,
name.
no. Yeah, because
Okay.
he had that name. He suggested it. And I was like, I don't know. That sounds a little too cheesy, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
How about Rowdy Racing? You know? So this was the type of person I was at the time,
Yeah.
right? I was just so like loud and obnoxious.
Yeah,
You know? And
you still
just,
are.
You know?
You're just
I
nervous.
mean, yeah,
today.
of course. Right? I still am. But it's like I smoothed it out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we came up with the name. Yeah, and then we kind of moved forward from there.
Those of you listening to, we're talking about Rob Ryder, and he's actually the
sorry.
first episode of season 2. So if you haven't listened to that, and you want some context, listen to Rob's episode, and that was a
go
really good
watch
one.
it.
We kicked the season off with that one, and that one was a good one. So, and if you haven't, if shame on you if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, they get drunk on that one. You need to watch it.
Get a little lit.
The mic is like right here at the end. Like they didn't edit nothing.
Because you know Rob is all about that.
But Rob is just like, oh, that's a tasty drink. Proper. But he's like tore up, but he just won't like show it. You know? Trying to be too proper.
It's a good one. So
Okay,
you started ClubFR. And so did you start doing, you started hosting drifting events at that part?
Yeah,
Like that?
So the first event, like technically was I think in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And I didn't go to that event. That was
Dang.
everybody, because it was Minnesota and I think my car was down and out or whatever, right? Or I might have had to work. So they went and then they had their first like a drift event, but it was hosted by like Drift Underground or whatever the name was. That was a different forum. But it was like, I think just like a hit it and split it kind of thing. They went once and they never went back, right? And then when they came back, I think it was important for them to like have a reference point, like a physical reference point versus like seeing events on like option videos or whatever. Right now they got to see, okay, this is the format that they did and now what works, what doesn't, right? And so then eventually I think we found... I can't remember if it was Tire Rack first or if it was this go-kart track called Norway in Illinois first. But I think it was Tire Rack first.
I think it was Tire Rack. I think it was Tire Rack because I was, Rob and I were already chatting on AIM.
Stalker.
AOL Instant Messenger for those that don't know. And the very first drifting video I ever saw of him was, actually... I think he was in a parking lot next to a freeway and he was doing figure eights. But then shortly after, he was at the Tire Rack Center or test track.
Yeah, that was probably videos from the autocross.
Okay.
Yeah, but so Tire Rack, I think was the first. And then from there, it was easier, right? Because it wasn't like how you guys in the West Coast had like a big ass parking lot. It's just California Motor Speedway, right?
Yeah.
Where you can see the curvature of the earth. Like,
True.
Like shit is huge. At first I was like, where is the drifting? This is an
Yeah.
empty ass parking lot. And then eventually like half a tank of gas later you see it, right? But for us, like that starting point, it was just basically, it was like a mirrored, like weird figure eight with like a halo or something like that, right?
Where is this?
And there's this is Tire Rack.
Okay.
And so it was just either go clockwise or counterclockwise, right?
Yeah.
And then there was only a couple options. So it was from the jump, it was already a course. It was never an open parking lot, right?
But how did you guys get that? I mean, I would say in those days, drifting was still very early, and it was not widely accepted on any race track.
Facts.
How did you guys secure a legit place like the Tire Rack Testing Center?
I think they just were curious, and we were probably the first ones, right?
Yeah.
And they just wanted to see what it was about. And
Who
so
approached them?
We went to them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we just emailed, and just saw, just see if it's possible.
Did you guys show them videos? Did you have
No.
like a like a presentation? Like how did that go down?
No. It was just like, I think the track or the facility manager at the time, I think kind of knew a little bit, like, oh, it's just fishtailing kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how you like introduce it in. I guess is that what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You have to explain it, and it's just control fishtailing, control power
Car
slides,
control clinic.
Yeah.
There you go.
And since that course, I think they put like the sprinklers on and stuff like that to like see if
That's
cars go out of
right.
control. I think they understand, right? Like that, okay, like we know what they're trying to do. This is weird. These kids just want to understeer all day,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like, but they didn't quite understand what drifting was until we got there, right?
Yeah.
And then once we got there, we had a few events, but akin to like what you're saying, we're not welcome. Eventually, we overwelcomed our stay because maybe I think we took out a sprinkler, which I don't think we did.
Yeah. But they
and then
also
shortly after us leaving, they started doing drifting. So I think
I didn't even
feel
know
like
that.
they were just trying to do their own thing, right?
Yeah.
They're like, why are we breaking these kids off? We just
But
do it ourselves, right?
I think I remember they required you guys to have the track wet, right? Is that right?
No, the
Okay.
track wasn't. We had, I think, a wet day, but
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, they told us about the sprinklers and they told us where it was, so
Yeah.
we deliberately avoided them, but
Okay.
somehow we still broke them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, right? I think that's kind of like the beginning of like also organizing in the Midwest, right? It's like until we found a home, like a more steady home, it was a bunch of like we're dating, right? Essentially,
Yeah.
and it was sometimes you just gotta go on dates, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, y'all been together forever, so I don't know,
No, we didn't have any bad ones.
Yeah. I mean,
I had bad ones, but now they're.
Yeah.
But okay, so
Yeah.
tire rack, right? You guys,
Mhm.
you guys moved on from tire rack. What
Yeah.
next?
Then I think it's Norway, right? It's a go-kart track in like the southern Illinois-ish, like suburbs,
Mhm.
and that was a pretty good like stay for a while. I mean, we didn't have that many cars. We had like 15 to like 25-ish,
That's
Toge
a
Factory
that's a
was-
lot, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
That's a full
I guess-
event.
Is it? I
That's
guess
a
you're
full
right.
event. Yeah.
Okay, maybe in the beginning it was not as much, Yeah, there were some days where it was like pretty sparse because it was like too cold and they didn't want to come out or something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, like on nice days, I guess, 20 cars, 20, 25. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. So we had that track. No one really had any idea. The person that could drive the most, like comfortably was Rob,
Mhm.
And TF Dave, he was pretty good. He got good pretty quick,
Yeah.
So it was like them two a lot. And they were important as drivers, Actually, Simba too, he had an open diff.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. He drifted with open diff for a minute.
Yeah.
That's why it's like
That
so
was
easy
that
for
was
him
Sonic
now.
the Hedgehog Simba.
Bro, yeah. That's when he cut his fenders, and then he had like ratchet strapped it to a loading dock like pole, and then
Yeah.
just like pull the fender. Like, yeah, it's horrible. That car was abused. Yeah. But anyway, sorry. What were we saying?
The progression of ClubFR.
Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah,
So-
Norway. Yeah. So yeah,
Norway,
Norway was the yeah. So we did that for a couple years, and then eventually, kind of similar situation where they got new ownership, and then they didn't like what we were about, what we wanted to do, right?
Okay.
So they eventually just stopped wanting to rebook with us, right? But luckily, around this time, I believe it was Simba. Simba Nyemba, Grip Gambler Pro C Final Bout. Yeah.
Yeah.
He I think was on Google Maps at school or at home or whatever, and he was just searching like the satellite images or something
Yeah.
like that, just around like the surrounding states, and I think that's how we found US Air. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's probably not satellites because this is the early 2000s. I don't think that feature was with Google. But either way, he found it through maps, right? He didn't like Google search it or anything like that. And then
MapQuest.
yeah, oh yeah, MapQuest. Yeah, when you have like sheets of paper telling you what to do.
Racetrack.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Then
so
we
tell
found
us,
that place.
tell us about US Air. Where is that located? What kind of course is that?
US Air was originally USA International Raceway, and now it's US Air Motorsports. It's in a town in the Green Bay area in Wisconsin called Shawano. Almost called Shawano. Don't call it Shawano. They get upset.
It's spelled
Shawano.
like that, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no. If they wanted Shawano, don't put the W in this. I know. But anyway, yeah, it's about 3-4 hours away from like Chicago area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's been our home since like 2005, and we've been going there through all of the ugliness until to where we got to now. There was a cult running it for a while that was under FBI investigation when we first got there. And all of the employees there dressed the same, and they kind of looked the same because I guess the leader of the cult was breeding a lot of people. So it was weird.
There was a
And
track.
that's where we found our house.
That's where you found your house.
The cult house.
There was a track before US Air. I remember because you.
Norway. What was there?
There was you flew me out a few times.
He's a stalker.
Oh yeah.
What was that track?
Road America.
Road America.
Yes.
Yeah. Road
We've been
America.
there.
Thank you, Benson.
Yeah.
You did your homework. You're dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got pictures. I don't know how. Yeah, but yeah.
But it was similar. It was similar to US Air in the way that it's like a go-kart track. And there was elevation changes, like a little bit of a hilly aspect to it.
Yeah.
But I always thought like, oh, this is how drifting is in Chicago. Like you guys had Road America, and then you had.
But I mean,
US
that's like
Air.
a really famous track, like Road America.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I
We
think
weren't on the
like
actual 4 mile.
Yeah, you're
though.
not on the real one, like the big
We're
one.
on the Briggs and Stratton
Yeah.
Motorplex.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the go-kart track.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like forever. It's like weird. It's like we only get the go-kart track, but I think it works out better that way because obviously doing a drift day on a 4 mile would just be ridiculous.
No,
Just
no.
Yeah.
You'd be
in any way.
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Or couldn't afford
and-
it, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's Road
Registration
America.
20 grand.
Yeah, and
That would have helped with the whole stigma of like Chicago drifters like not getting out of second gear though. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
it's like no. What are you talking
but when they
about?
come through, they can't keep up. So what's up? no, yeah.
And
No,
that
yeah,
was,
I know, like so jealous of you guys. You had high speed. We didn't.
This episode is brought to you by Lot USA. Lot USA has been the master distributor of Brid racing seats for the past 18 years. Celebrating their 42 years in operation, Brid manufactures high-quality performance products for circuit, drag, GT, and drift.
Nadine and I have always run Brid seats in our cars, and even today, Brid seats are the latest mod in our new drift car. Our favorite seats are the FIA-approved Zeta 4 and the reclinable bucket seat, the Stradia 3.
One of the latest releases from Brid is the Zeta 4 Vireo, which is a size small version of the Zeta 4 for petite drivers. Visit lot-usa.com for more info and follow them on IG at lot_USA. This episode is brought to you by Barnaby. Barnaby is a car builder and tuner in the Central Texas, Austin area. In addition to other Nissans like the 350Z, they specialize in GTRs, R32 through 35, and has over 10 years experience. In terms of tuning, they work with most standalone ECUs like Motec, M-Tron, Link, Haltech, and AEM, to name a few. Barnaby has tuned some of our friends' infamous cars, including J-Spec Sam's blue R32 GTR. When we get our GTR, we know where we're sending it to get tuned. Barnaby. For more info, visit barnaby.com and be sure to check out their dyno tuning videos on IG at Barnaby.
So Phil, you guys were at Road America, then you found another home, which was US Air. Where does Drift Association kind of take place in all this? Because I know eventually you guys started doing drift days, but in the Midwest. And that was just crazy to us because we were at Drift Day 1 in LA. So to hear that Drift Day was coming to the Midwest, how did that all transpire?
Well, I guess it was pretty early. I think it was probably even during when we were at Tire Rack. I flew out to LA to meet up with Naoki Kobayashi of Drift Association ClubFR AG, and then I was like essentially like studying what he was doing. Right. He let me shadow him, and then
You came out to our events?
Yeah, I went out there.
I feel like I
stayed with
remember.
Andy Yen,
You-
I believe.
what?
He lived in Monterey Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Do you?
No, Andy.
Yeah.
Andy lived
Oh, not
in
Andy
Diamond Bar or Walnut.
No, maybe it's not Andy. It was
not Andy.
Damn,
I'm trying to say you know Andy and slept over his house.
Yeah.
Someone else.
No,
Who lived in
maybe-
Monterey Park? Was it
A lot
Moto?
of Asians lived in Monterey
No,
Park.
yeah.
No, I don't know.
That's when
I'm
I
not sure
found
who it
out
could be.
about like I didn't. Like, so it was like it led to like, oh, like this is where Chinese people be staying.
Yeah.
Like, in Chicago, there's like a suburb of just Koreans, right? And so here it's like, oh, everything's Chinese, and then it's like, oh, there's a freeway. Oh, the other side is East LA. I'm like, damn, y'all live right next to each other.
Yeah.
So then you get to understand like how some of the cultures like cross through, and it's kind of dope.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I didn't even know, like, I just think of Chinatown as Chinese people, right? But I don't think of like, but then being introduced to Monterey Park was dope because then you get to see like, like the Chinese American equivalent of me, right? Being a Korean American, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you can see like, it was dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway. So I went out to Drift Association. I don't remember which drift day it was, but it was during the time when like I think Taka Ono and Hiro Sumida, they both had Corollas.
Yes.
Right? During that time. And that was like, for me, they were like older bros, right? When I saw them, I was like, oh, damn, like they're doing it. And they're Japanese and, like they're, they have more access to the culture, of like hachiroku, not just like, Corolla, like Alex Pfeiffer, which is also pretty dope, but it's like its own brand, right?
Yeah.
And so going there was cool in the fact where I get to like learn and have access to more like hachiroku Corolla culture, and there's like ClubFR, and then also I was like seeing like how you guys ran drift days out there, and like I said, like it's just wild, like pulling into the parking lot and it's like you can't see.
Were you at Irwindale
No,
or
he was at California.
Speedway?
This was California Motor Speedway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Fontana.
Yeah, Fontucky.
Yeah, I was like, there's snow in California. Yeah, that was a scary town though. I went and got tacos there. Oh man.
Yeah,
It
just
felt
get
like,
off the freeway and get back on.
Yeah,
over there.
like out here in Wisconsin, like those small towns full of like like kind of like creepier like hillbilly Mormons, or, But out there, desert people are scary.
Desert people are something else, man. No, they're different.
And I was like, is there a Confederate flag here? Is this the South? It was,
Did you see a tumbleweed?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. First time I saw a tumbleweed was out there.
Shit. This is where y'all drift?
And it smelled. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Smelled
it was
like
too
trash.
traumatic for me to remember the scent.
Weirdness.
I can't believe you were there. I had no idea that you shadowed Naoki and you were at our events.
Yeah, I faintly remember. Yeah.
That dude could smoke a cigarette in one breath. He would have, I just remember, like, he just have like a pack of Marlboros and come out and just like, he would hold it and then from the side, he just smoked it. But I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, yo, this dude is like, he don't get it.
That's very Japanese.
He don't care about his health. That's how much, And like the stupidity in me was like, I idolized those type of imagery. So I started smoking too. That was a whole bad thing. But yeah. But anyway, studied under him, if you will. I got to meet Moto, but I didn't really get to like hang with him because I think the drifting side was more so Naoki, and he was working with like Taka Ono and Yukie, right?
Yoshie.
Yeah. Oh, Yoshie. Yeah, Yoshie, right? And I remember going over his house, meeting his kid.
Yeah.
Like he took me in. It was like an important time, right? Because I don't know what he saw in me, but obviously he was kind enough to like show me the ropes. He told me about what, insurance they go with, right? And eventually ClubFR became like a sister chapter, if you will, in the Midwest. And so that's how we ended up doing those drift day competitions, right? That tied into you guys as well, coming through to Road America.
But how did that all go down? Where you're like, hey Naoki, can I do drift day too? Or like, I mean, was it just something that he offered you, or did you guys have to pay for that, or how did that go down?
So as far as the tea, as you like to always get.
Believe me, I got more questions for you for tea. This is not even tea.
Message, or you call, Nadine called, and we were on the phone.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to Benson about like scheduling this, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm gonna make you spill all the tea. You're always trying to start, but that's okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I got nothing to start. But anyhow,
Just doing my job. That's what I'm here for.
What were you saying?
The tea, man. Where's the tea?
No.
What tea
No. We're just talking about like, how did you exactly get the drift day deal?
Oh yeah. I mean, he was like, honestly, like, I felt lucky, that he was so open about sharing what he was doing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think at that point, Cali being like having everything, can't get like parts in the Midwest or East Coast or whatever. It's all Cali, 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 and don't even like, it just stops there. It doesn't even come west or east at all.
Yeah.
And then, so having access, right, was kind of a rarity at that time. And so for me, I looked at it as like having access to what you guys were doing out there, and he was really, really open about it, right? He wasn't, and he was, I don't know, like I asked questions because I didn't know what was going on. I've never organized any events. I've only been to a couple autocrosses and I'm just a knucklehead kid, right? That can't hold a part-time job because I oversleep or something, right?
Mhm.
I'm like that kid. And so coming to him, like he obviously saw something, you know what I mean, was willing to like share something, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he did, and so like even like our Drift Day stickers are still the same double D,
Mm-hmm.
that you guys have out there with Drift Association, right?
Yeah.
And we still have it to this day. He didn't ask for no royalties or whatever. He wasn't like, you need to break me off. He just
Yeah.
said, go through my vinyl guy, right?
Yeah.
But I forget what his name is. And I think your car was there a long time ago, Benson. Man. But anyway, he just wanted me to like use his boys, right? His contacts vendors. So we were getting Drift Day stickers sent out from Cali, and their insurance wise, like we were such high liability, especially in the Midwest, that like he was also kind enough to open up his annual like liability and put us in as additional insured,
Okay.
Nice.
right, for our events,
That's
right?
big.
So like, yeah, and we like paid obviously, right? But the fact is like he like held the door open for us,
Yeah.
so that we could have access to insurance. Because out, in Chicago, ain't nobody give a fuck. They were like, what, drifting? Nah, thank
Right.
you, I'm good,
Right. Especially like
And
to a bunch of kids who want to do
Yeah,
some
of
crazy
course.
stuff on the track.
Of course. And then if they do the whole like, well, if the track says fine, well, the insurance is like $8,000 a day, right?
Yeah.
It's like they just are letting us know by pricing us out,
Yeah.
So it was that, and it was like we went to insurance companies and they were just like drifting, like, and then we try to like be slick and we're going to do some autocrossing and
Yeah.
some time, whatever. And then they're like, well, some of them like got fishy, right? So they would be like, well, we'd like to see some videos or, some samples of,
Yeah.
And so that kind of like puts us in a tough spot because then we can't do anything that looks sanctioned, right? So it was definitely a hurdle, and Naoki was huge in terms of like getting us there,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that eventually led into Pro-Am happening. I don't know if we're there yet, right? But we get to partner up with him that way.
Yeah.
What year did this start?
The Pro-Am?
The Drift Days, like the relationship. Yeah.
I think it was pretty early. I think it was like 2004. I think it was like
Okay.
within a year of us starting. Like it was
Yeah.
quick, right?
Yeah.
Like I was me and Rob. Rob Ryder. We were very like we wanted to hit the ground running, right?
Yeah.
We're just once we like got a taste of like that we could like do this and keep making these steps. Like it was just we just had to do it, and so yeah.
Josh
We
from
did whatever.
Josh from Proceed like kind of put it into context for me when that started happening in the Midwest for you guys, the drift days out there, because as a guy that was doing a lot of streeting and from the like participating in drifting culture in the Midwest, he was telling me that drifting was going on out there, but people like in SoCal, like seeing drift days going on and seeing stuff on the East Coast too. Like he was seeing drifting on the internet everywhere but the Midwest, and he kind of felt like, well, hey, we're here too, like what about us? And he said, like looking up to all the drifting media that was happening everywhere else in the US, to see Drift Day happen in Chicago was like, that's when you guys were put on the map. Like now we are legit. Now we've got something that is cool, just like everybody else. That was his thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Josh has like always been like, that's the thing that's great about him is like, he's like an important part of our history too, because he's so like passionate, right?
Oh yeah.
About like what it means, right? Not just how it looks and how it feels, right? But he understands how much he loves it so much that he knows how to like frame it with like appreciation and care, right?
Yeah.
And so he's absolutely right. You know, like that was like a pretty big step, right? And I don't try to minimize it, right? But it was just, I don't know, like I don't think the way that he does, right? I was approaching it as like, I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And we got people that want to do it. Let's just keep doing it and let's just figure out how to, go for it. And I'm glad that like, we have people like Josh and other people that have been supporting us for a minute and building it with us, not even supporting us, right?
Yeah.
That like it can be what it is, right? Yeah. And then of course like it was cool because Cali, y'all always had the dope stuff, right?
Yeah.
And y'all always had the street. And you don't have winners, right? You don't have winners. You could drive all the damn time. You got smog, I guess. But, we were always jealous of that.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, spring, summer, like, let's just get, let's cars out the garage or whatever, right? And we got to go. And so, I don't know. Sometimes I think, like, that we have that compressed time in a season. It makes us a little bit more, like,
hungry.
Fiending for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're coming
like
out
all
hungry.
winter, you're just like fiending to get out there, and then when it comes, it's just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, not only
Y'all are
that,
just
like the tracks too, because you guys are on like real tracks, and we're just in the parking lot.
You can't even cruise. We got salt.
Didn't think about that.
Rust.
Yep.
Rust.
Yeah.
Even if it's a nice day out, I'm like, this like the streets look white because it fogs white with all the salt. I'm like, damn.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Lucky.
Not gonna happen.
You guys in the Pacific Northwest, you guys got the clean cars.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's a solid trade-off. A solid trade-off. I just love that you guys get to go to real road courses and stuff, and we don't have as many. We just
I don't know. We got a lot.
Well,
I think we got a lot.
Well, I mean, when we at the end during that time, we were just in parking lots. No one would let us in. You know.
But you know what was dope was though, like they did, like Naoki, like I remember being in his house. Sorry to track it back for a second, but he had like these books. He was like a huge Formula One dude.
Okay.
And so he'd have these books about like, or these pages that were just scattered around where it has like optimal turns and apexes and what happens when you apexes. Like he's like studying motorsports, right?
Yeah.
And then like Taka is out there, right? Like he's like essentially like the crash test dummy, and he'll go out and rip it and give his feedback. So it was dope to also see that partnership.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't just like, you guys just had parking lots and it was whatever, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Like,
no,
there was a lot of
Taka-
consideration that went into like your course design.
Oh yeah.
Taka was
For sure.
SCCA champion multiple times for autocross, and so he was the
Kansas,
guy. He's the guy that did all the track design, all of them.
Yeah.
And he would have in mind like what he wants to challenge us on, and he would do it. So that was like it was the downside that a lot of people made fun of us for having courses with cones in a parking lot. Like there's nothing to hit, there's no real danger or risk. But the upside to that was Taka was challenging us every single time with something new.
Something new.
So
double
dope.
apex, late
Sensei.
apex, like high speed entry, like speed control, all that stuff. Like like every time we had a different track, so that was cool.
Yeah, super dope.
Yeah.
So I mean, road courses, sure, but like we were also jealous of you guys because you could also make a road course like a course layout super fast too, right?
Yeah, we could lay out a course that like challenged us as much as like a D1 event coming up. Like we can go super high speed and practice all the things that we need.
Yeah. So then it turned into you guys hosting bigger events, right? So tell us about that, because you hosted some pretty iconic events.
I think you're talking about RSR?
RSR. Tell us about RSR.
Hell yeah.
RSR was like, it was kind of unreal. I was like, oh, are we really doing this? Like, it was, I believe it, it had to come through Naoki for sure, right? Because I think it came through Naoki or some part of that faction out there when the first one happened, right?
Yep.
So that privilege of being connected to Drift Association gave us the opportunity to try something different, right? And so we got to host it at Route 66 Chicago Motor Speedway. the back parking lot of the drag strip, I believe, which is just like craters and jumps and bumps. And, yeah, it's like I don't know how it's that, but it was.
Who secured the venue?
Oh, it was, I guess myself and Naoki, right?
Wow.
And Rob, yeah. We went and we presented, and luckily we had Naoki's backing, right? So we had all like the right paperwork and things like that like legitimized us, you know. And then we locked it down.
And this is 2004, and that was still
Yeah.
really early in drifting, just in general in the USA.
Yeah,
you know?
04 was a big year for drifting in SoCal, and
Yeah, for sure.
And
Ken Gucci.
Ken Gucci.
Formula
Shout out Ken Gucci.
Formula D.
He was
too.
a baby at that time.
He was a baby.
I think he had his
sucking
license
thumb and
suspended.
holding his trophy. I was like, damn.
Don't even think he had a driver's license at that point. So.
No, he did not.
He didn't.
Yeah.
But when you were approached about it, like what did they say? Did they tell you like Orito was coming and
Oh yeah. And Alex
Pfeiffer's-
Pfeiffer. Yeah, I got to see his balls too.
Oh,
But anyway,
TMI.
yeah. Well, he was showing it off. He had like a drink, He's like, "You want to see a Prince Albert?" I'm like, "No, here it is. Thank you. Can I get some Corolla parts?"
He just said a drink. I don't think he just had a drink. Okay.
Yeah, he was the only sober one, right? No, it was a trip, like especially because Orito, right?
Yeah.
We're watching option videos, and it's like it's a dude with the unibrow, like he's just it's Orito, right?
Yeah.
It's like him and Keiji, right? So it was just kind of unreal, and that was when he was doing like the cowboy phase, I think.
Was it?
He was like. Yeah, he was like wearing leathers, and didn't he have like a cowboy hat, or was
Did
that
he
little
drive the
Peter?
I don't remember if that was
Is that the
2004,
Supra
but
era?
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah,
He was
Yeah.
a Supra.
Yeah, that's cowboy
Oh
era.
yeah, that's another thing.
What's that?
He was like the Supra.
Yeah.
He was the early adopter of that. Nobody else really messed with it that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I remember that was an
Cowboy.
interesting time too, also because Pfeiffer eventually did RSR with the S2000, right? And that was also a car that was kind of like, I don't know if we should, or it's
Yeah.
too difficult, and right, that was interesting. But anyway, yeah. So, it was like unreal, right? That like these heroes of ours that we're seeing in these videos, right? Driving hachirokus even, right? In some of these videos. And then this is when they were like knucklehead kids or younger, and now like they're these established drivers of not just drifting, of motorsport, right? And then he's coming here, like it was definitely like just cool, right? Just not even just happy to be hosting it, but just happy that like we get to also watch it too.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like having like you come out, Hero coming out, right? Like it's just also meeting like our stateside, like people, our fans, right? Like our like that represents us and what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
It was cool to then host you guys from out there to here too. So it wasn't just like seeing, these legends, right? But it was also like meeting you guys, our internet friends, if you will.
Yeah.
In this fashion. And it was, I don't know. It was an exciting time for sure.
I mean, I definitely hear from a lot of people that event really introduced them to drifting. For some, it was the first time they saw it at all. Some where they saw in person, and that's when the bug bit them, right? And so,
Dope.
in the grand scheme of things, like that, doing that event really brought on the next generation of drifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we
That's
just
dope.
celebrated the anniversary of the RSR Drift Festival this year, right? It was
How many years was it?
damn 20. Is it 20?
Was it 20?
They said 20 years. Was that
Oh, shit,
2003?
yes,
No,
it's
it's 2004.
2003.
It was 2004.
19.
Either way.
It's 19
I don't
years.
know, 19, 20 years, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Big deal.
Yeah. And then the following year, you guys did FD Pro-Am. So that's like a different series, Formula
Yeah.
Drift. How did
Yeah.
that go down? Was that any different?
That was a little bit different. That was an opportunity for me to be more like hands-on. Because it was the Pro-Am series. They just started and they wanted to split it into 4 regions. And so we were part of the North region. And
So
then
Formula
there
D
was-
approached you for that?
Yeah. Well, we got through Naoki again, right?
Okay.
He reached out to me and he's like, hey, like, talking to Jim Law, and he wants to do this. We need more drivers. I know that there's hungry drivers out there, you know, and we need to essentially like we need to like fill the books, right?
Yep.
Like so we can actually have like a presentable top 16, you know. And I think at that time it was kind of tough to sell it to certain drivers, right? There was a lot of people that they weren't as confident, you know. It was just kind of too soon, too fast. But
drifting was still young out there.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it was still young out there for sure, but you guys still had way more access than us. So just think about that, right? And then knowing that, like, you know, like even trends at the time, like it takes like a year or two to come that way kind of thing, you know, before like the internet becoming like just super ubiquitous. So it was a tougher sell, but we eventually ended up splitting into the northern region. And it was a good opportunity to meet other organizers around the country. Yeah. So that was also kind of cool for me, right? I got to meet like I think it was like Brian Eggert from East Coast, you know, and then he gonna be so mad. I forgot his name. in Texas, not Lone Star, but Corolla Coupe Young.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, Korean dude, big dude, country. He talks like this, but he looks like an old Korean man. So
he's so mad at you right now.
Whatever his name is.
He got too many kids. He can't walk. No. Oh my God, I'm gonna remember it. I'm gonna just like Tourette's it out later. But anyway, and then I got to meet more organizers out west, like with Just Drift, you know. Yeah. And so then you got to kind of see the diversity of different organizations, right? And everyone kind of had like a similar idea, but they took it from their own cloth, if you will. Yeah. So that was also important for me to see, right? Because for the longest time, Naoki was mentorship, right? Yeah. And so everything I was doing was kind of in reference to like, oh, like how did he do it, right? Yeah. Like I think I want to do it like this, but you know what I mean? And then to meet other organizers was good too, because then I get to see their format, their approach, what their drivers are like, you know? And then what kind of tracks they have, you know, and how do they work their angles on like, you know, entries and, you know, just like the stupid back end admin stuff that's like necessary to keep it going, right? Okay. But like I was just curious on how that works so that we could figure it out, right? But yeah, so the Pro-Am, so we ended up doing that, and we ended up holding the Pro-Am point series for our drift days, and then we eventually got that to the point where the champion of the Midwest Cup Series would then end up going to Laughlin, Nevada, where they would do the first Pro-Am licensed drivers competition.
And who did you send for that?
Rob Ryder.
Earthworm
Jim. Earthworm Jim. Big shoulders, small head.
Nice.
Yeah. Then the helmet made it look like a regular size. It's because he's just always working on his lats. Yeah. Doing all that. Looking in the mirror, looking just at himself, pulling weights. Creep. Nah, just kidding. I was so out of shape. He was just like making up for me being a slob.
There are a lot of dudes out there that were big up top. Yeah, like
he had chicken legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry.
So working with all those organizations, kind of like observing the differences between, you know, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, all that, South, like, did you also recognize maybe an identity for Chicago style cars and drifting that was different from everybody else?
For sure. Yeah.
Well, what makes the Midwest different? What's unique about you guys?
So I guess maybe part of being, second wave, if you will, right? Because Cali's first wave is it affords us the opportunity to reference Japan and then reference Cali, and then kind of see what's similar and what's different, and then we get to kind of like cocktail what we want, right, from that, right? Because then we get to see how you guys kind of emulate it, right? And then we kind of find a style that kind of fits our own. And because, you know, Chicago and, you know, I don't want to play into the whole Chirac or whatever, but there's a certain energy in Chicago, right? Okay. And it's a little bit grimier, I think, you know, and I think those potholes don't give a fuck about how much money you make or what
Yeah.
kind of Bentley it is. It wants to just ruin your day.
Yeah.
Right? That's the type of roads it is. And to just give the finger back, you just put your car on the ground, right? And you just roll with it too, right? And I think that kind of attitude is probably what, influences is just not just a style, but it's even like driving, right? And then also being Midwest and cold, right? You have very limited time. You don't have year round, so you kind of take advantage too. And summers, like you just drive until the sun comes up, kind
Right.
of thing,
I also
Yeah.
believe that the winters, the time where you're not able to drive your car,
Mhm.
it forces you to kind of sit and dream, right?
Mhm.
Like be
Mhm.
more thoughtful about
For sure.
what my car is going to look like when it's springtime, when I can drive it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you time to buy your parts and like
Yep.
it gives you an off season to like fix things, make
That's
things
very
the way
true.
you want it. And like
Yeah.
us, like we didn't have that. So
Yeah.
like it was just constant, just like driving, something breaks, put a Band-Aid on it, keep driving, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very true. But there also was that, you can get a nice winter beater if it's like rear-wheel drive and you go rip it around,
Yeah.
run into highway barriers because you're going too fast, rob, things like that,
We
There
don't
was
know
this time
nothing about that.
Actually, it wasn't even rear-wheel drive. It was a 89 Corolla GTS that he had
Yeah.
as a winter beater. And we were the only ones on the highway. And it was like midnight. And it was like a winter storm.
Yeah.
And he's going like 50 miles uphill and it starts to arc right. And we don't turn right. And the steering wheel's turning right. And we're just floating.
Yeah.
And then we just hit the rail.
You hit the K-rail.
Yeah, and then we bounce off, and then I don't know if he turned back in, and we hit it again.
Oh man.
and
You
then
wanted
basically
seconds.
about to ride the whole rail home. Yeah.
Okay, so the
But yeah.
time that he put his Miata into the K-rail wasn't his first time into a K-rail.
Oh, no. I think
Okay.
or was it his first, and then after that, he just didn't care if he ever hit another one again? I think
okay.
it was probably after. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all your fault, Vincent.
It's not my
Yeah,
fault.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We talked
you
about that
told-
story.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes. Good old
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah.
Let's not have him relive that trauma.
But so you are no longer associated with Drift Association.
No.
Oh.
I don't remember how
happened?
it happened. I don't honestly I think it was just okay. So it's never anything bad, but it's either like
Are you sure?
Naoki. Yeah, I mean, because I'm really trying to remember, right? Like there wasn't like hard feelings, right? But I can't remember if it was on my end, right? Because again, like I think it's important in the story to recognize that I was just like I was still kind of a kid with no direction, right? And like doing this like was like an anchor to this life that was just chaos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was okay. I think it came after Pro-Am was done, right? Because Pro-Am was a tough thing to incorporate into our group because there was only a handful of people that were serious.
Yeah.
And we had to interrupt our regular drift days in order to put on these little competitions, right? And I think I try my best to make it so that, like we consolidate the competition as quick as possible so that we could resume. But I think it was just maybe off-putting for some people, or some people felt like peer pressured to have to compete so they could at least maximize
Their
the
seat time.
registration.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? And so I think that was kind of the tough thing that I didn't know how to navigate.
Yeah.
And Naoki wasn't necessarily a resource for that to help me, right? Because he was the one I think that was like really trying to push like it's fine, And overall, yeah, it was fine. But I think, deep down inside, like I didn't feel like it was, like fair, to the drivers that pay full price. And eventually, I think it proved that I was correct because our driver like turnout just dropped, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, we had to like crickets to the point where some events we canceled because we had like 6 people sign up. I'm like, wait, I'm gonna drive 4 hours to go like see like 6 cars. Just, you know what I mean? Like, and we were gonna like be like completely like pockets inside out for that event too.
Yeah.
Right? So that also like his financial decision was stupid too. So we had like a couple years where it was like that, and it was coming out of the wave of doing Pro-Am. So I stopped doing Pro-Am, and I think doing that was probably what stopped our communication, you know? But it wasn't like negative, or it wasn't like an exit interview either, where it was just like, well, you know, this is a good run, you know, hopefully we could do something else, right? It wasn't even that, right? I think, and so that's why I say, did I mismanage it, right?
Yeah.
Did I not, you know, like speak to him and be like, hey, like this is how I feel, and this is like our turnout. And I may have probably expressed it to a certain degree, but there's a part of me that feels like, if I can remember correctly, that I might have mismanaged that, possibly, right?
Okay.
You know? But I think I've seen him several times shortly after, like, we stopped doing it, and it wasn't any ill will. But then again, he's Japanese, so maybe they don't show how they feel or whatever, right? So, you know, I think that part of it I wasn't too sure, right? But yeah, I don't. It was never like a falling out, or we had an argument, or you know what I mean, or he was pissed about something.
Yeah,
at least to my knowledge, right? You know,
but at some point you were not Drift Association anymore. You're not doing Drift days. It was just ClubFR events.
Yeah. But we kept, you know, the logo for like the stickers, and we still called it that. We had our own insurance by that time. Yeah. You know, so it wasn't like, you know, like trying to like have to navigate that with him, right? But yeah, it was I don't know, but it was good though, because then at that point, then we got to start, coming back to like grassroots. Yeah. Right? And that was also like, you know, like a little bit of a lull, but it was also a cool time, because during that time, that's when street drifting in Chicago, right, was really like just like bubbling, right? Yeah. And it was like Josh and them, right? And they were all going out every night, chopping them, everybody, right? They were ripping it up, right? And they were on like GeoCities or Zanga, whatever it was at the time, you know, MySpace or something like that, right? You know. And like they were, you know, like they were doing it, right? And Simba was Grip Gambler, you know, and it was just kind of like a time for that. And I think at that time, Rob had like gone to Japan to meet a Japanese, to teach English. And so it was like a vacancy in terms of my partnership, and then it was also like this vacancy in terms of not having like my connection with Naoki, right? Yeah. To do this, and then also like a drop in our like registration. Yeah. So then that was kind of like a lull, if you will. Yeah. So I've been told about that period of time when ClubFR was really struggling, and I think coupled with the financial crisis and some other things going on. I've heard this from many people, but they said that you were the one that you were always there, and you never let ClubFR die. No matter whether you had to cancel events, whether you were out there trying to find more staff, find more drivers, managing everything so that ClubFR can keep moving on, even though it was really dark times for you guys. Yeah. I mean, definitely, yeah. I don't know. Just we worked so hard to get to that point, right? Yeah. Like, why just throw in the towel? I mean, wasn't even. I don't think I've ever felt like I had to throw the towel in. Yeah. You know, you never felt like this might be the end. Nah, never. Right? I don't know. I feel like I've been through some rough times in the past, right? And I mean, yeah, maybe I might have lost some dough or lost some people, but like ultimately, like I gained more experience, right? More confidence, hopefully, right? Yeah. So in that way, I wasn't like channeling that like explicitly in my mind, but I think if I look back, like I never felt like, oh, maybe I should throw in the towel, right? Yeah. There have been times where I was just like, yo, like, what are we, what am I doing wrong? Yeah. You know, or sometimes I would feel like, man, we shouldn't have done Pro-Am or whatever. I would have those kind of regrets, right? But it was never like, we need to just cut this shit out, right? Yeah. And a part of it was also like, there was still like also Simba too. Simba was probably at more Drift Day events than I have been in, right? Because there was a year where I was in New York and he was holding it down too. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so he was also part of it too. So it was not just like I felt like I was by myself, right? It was, I had him as well, and I had a handful of other people that were always like coming through, right? Yeah. So, and that was strongly connected to Toge Factory as well, right? Yeah. I have to say that like ClubFR and Toge Factory, right, is like a really big part of how it was symbiotic, you know? Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that relationship and what Toge Factory means to the Midwest area and drifting.
Toge Factory is huge. I mean, yeah, I think exactly. Like, so for the Midwest, I'm like trying to like talk to these Honda shops about like coilovers for Corolla, and they're like, nah, you know, like, or like, we got these like bootleg Rega Masters or Rotas, you know what I mean? Like, just like that was just all it was, right? It was like this copy and paste of whatever was popular or whatever Stephen Papadakis or whatever, you know, whoever, right? It was always referencing something that California was doing.
Yeah.
And it was like a shittier like version of it, right? That we had to like at least deal with. And if we wanted like real stuff, like if we wanted real Rega Masters, like we would have to go to Cali, or like, if I wanted real SSRs, I would hit Wheel Choice, right? Yeah. Like things like that. So for us to always being looking west, and then to have to meet Dave, Toge Factory Dave Lee, it was huge. Like it was like a boss hub. But I was like, I could get it from you here in front of me, right? That was like a huge thing. I don't have to pay
for shipping from Cali.
Yeah. I mean, like it's expensive, bro, but it's cool. I'll pay it. No. Price was right? Like he was importing parts. Right?
You're like scratching your neck like an addict.
yeah, I'll take that. Boss hub, $200 is probably only $85 in Japan, but that's cool. Yeah. So, but he was like literally flying. He said he had a SIL 80 when we first met him at that auto body glass shop meeting. He was there too.
Okay.
And we met him before he even was Toge Factory.
Okay.
We met him when he was selling parts out of his 4Runner or whatever truck that he would be flying in from Japan, and sometimes sitting in the seat for like 20 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so he started his business so close to us. And then immediately, right, he was like, he knew exactly what was up, right? Like he knew what parts to get, like what's going to sell well, right? And he got into doing like fiberglass bumpers for a while too. But before that, he was bringing in like wheels with decent offset, right? He was bringing in like 18s. Like, what? We'd never seen 18 SSRs. What are these professors? Oh,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was like kids that found a nudie magazine. You know what I mean? We were just like horny for this stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And it was just, he was our drug dealer.
Yeah.
You know, essentially. And then, you know, he would get the squash air fresheners. We gobble that up, right? Yeah. You have the videos. We gobble that up, right? Yeah. Shift now's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then eventually got into like turbo kits and just more serious stuff. So like, I say symbiotic because obviously he needed dummies like us to spend all our money there, you know, and to break things at the track and then to go back and spend it, right? But also like, you know, it was symbiotic because like we needed him not just the parts, but he had knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
And he's super obsessive and precise, right? That like he dynos his own struts and stuff. I mean, like it was like some nerd, right?
Yeah.
You know? But he's also an incredible driver, right? Like he understands what the people want, right? And so like all of that combined, you know, and then now teaming up with his brother Mike Lee, like they've built it to what it is today, right? And they've done different motorsports. But the birth of Toge Factory is drifting with us, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it was Toge Factory so amazing that I was seeking out things that only Dave had.
Yeah, right? That's crazy.
And that's
you were on Cali.
Yeah, we were in Cali. I was like, man, I gotta pay for shipping for Aero? Come on.
Now you know how it feels.
Now I know.
Yes.
Dave, where's it going to? Upcharge. Another $80.
Oh my God. Yep.
So you also mentioned about when when you mentioned that Rob, you also mentioned when Rob was away in Japan. And Rob told me a little bit about that time, a little bit before he left.
Tea. There's some tea coming.
Yeah. When I say Rob, I mean Rob Ryder. But Rob and you were kind of like there are lots of people involved with running ClubFR and your drift days, but you two were kind of the main people. And Rob always considered, he told me he considered Drift Day his baby. Right? And you said that too. Or maybe I said that. But it was really important for him. And he spent a lot of time obsessing about the events and wanting it to run the way that he wanted it to be run. And that period of time came where he had the opportunity to pursue professional drifting and maybe look for a career in drifting or see how far he can go. He told me about a time that was really important for your friendship where you were noticing that he wasn't doing as good of a job running the events because he was also very focused on his driving and you know, finding where he fit in the world of professional drifting.
Yeah,
And that you guys got in a fight.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
He said that was the one time that he ever got in a yelling match with you.
Yeah.
And it got very passionate. And I don't know. Do you want to tell that story?
I don't remember it completely. I think I have it like blocked in my memory, but I do remember. But well, okay, yeah. Let's hear it. Let's hear.
So Rob told me that you guys were fighting about it because not because you disagreed with him, but because you cared so much about what he could potentially do with drifting, how far he could go, that you wanted to take the ClubFR Drift Day stuff on your own shoulders to let him spread his wings.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember that. Oh, yeah. Damn.
And you yelled at him.
Rob, you remember that?
Rob remembered it. He told me you yelled at him and you told him, just let me do it. And you go do your thing.
I remember. I do remember.
And he was really upset. He did not want to let go of the reins.
Yeah.
But, you know, talking to you, he kind of realized what you were trying to say, what you were trying to do for him.
Yeah.
And there's the story of like Rob going to compete for that FD license and also going to Japan with like things that he was a big deal doing that stuff.
Yeah,
representing the Midwest and then going to Japan and doing a bunch of cool stuff that, you know, he later became pretty well known for. But, you know,
of course,
that's thanks to you.
I mean, I'm glad he listened. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I do remember that, but it's kind of crazy to hear this, right? Because you did your homework and you talked to other people to dig up dirt, and then Nadine was like, get some more dirt.
I did.
But I guess it's kind of cool to hear that, right? Because it's a memory I forgot about, right? Because I guess, there was a little bit, I remember being annoyed with him and angry with him, right? Because, you know, well, because also I believe it's like, why do two things?
Yeah.
Right?
Preach.
And like, we've been doing this together, like, you know, and so I guess I was most upset about it's like, we're a team, you know? It's like, let me get this dime. You're right under the fucking rim, you know what I mean? Why you got to try to also bring the ball up, right? You know what I mean? It was kind of like that kind of feeling, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, do what you do. I'm going to feed you the rock.
Yeah.
Right? And I think at the time, I don't know if this is true on his end, but I thought maybe it was an ego that was like hindering, right? And so that was starting to like become a resentful thing for me, right? Because I was like, yo, like, I don't understand. Like, why are you trying to do both?
Yeah.
You know? And all you talk about is the other thing.
Yeah.
Right? All you're talking about is driving, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's give this a shot, you know? And you keep talking about it. And you know what I mean? So it was kind of one of those things where maybe I needed to be more like nurturing, if you will. Not nurturing, but a little bit more maybe soft-handed, you know? But I think it was just more like I felt an urgency, right? For us, right? Because him doing well also is good for us, right? Because... yeah, like we need someone to represent like not just ClubFR, but like, you know, like more drivers from out here, right?
Yeah.
And then we have other drivers like Brian Peters and all these dudes that got to come up, right? But like that was the time where it was like strike the iron while it's hot. And I felt frustrated that I don't think he understood that. Or maybe he did, but he wanted to try to do both, one or the other. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do remember that. I do remember, so that he can go do it. And and I was down for it, right? And yeah.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he ended up still doing, you know, so many important things for us, right? I mean, for the Miata community or whatever, right? Or just for our history of it, right? I mean, he was also a big part of him connecting with you, you know, in different ways. You know, both of you, I guess, you know, if you think about it, because I wasn't as social in that sense. He was the one that was reaching out to you guys, right? Yeah. Like, I was hitting up Naoki or trying to like figure out like things on like how to figure out the processes, but he was also important to think about like these like relationships that we should also have together,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And he understood that better than me, right? I was thinking more locally. I was always thinking like, oh, Cali don't want to mess with us, so like I'm just gonna just figure out our stuff, right? That's how
Yeah.
I saw it as.
Yeah.
You know, part of, you know, it's like
You're making
it's
things up.
Chicago. It's stupid. It's Chicago, right? Chip on the shoulders, right?
Yeah. No, I think you both had different perspectives because
Yeah.
you were thinking about it as from the perspective of someone who's trying to run a successful event, right?
Yeah,
And how to do that
Yeah.
well and how to be better,
Bro. Yeah.
right? And Rob
Yeah.
was doing that, but he was also so in love with the driving side of it that he was trying to make contacts. He was doing what you were doing with Naoki, but with other drivers.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was an incredible driver, right? So I was just like, what are you doing? You know? So yeah. I mean, or maybe it was like that he was little, you know, like he needed like a better way to be motivated instead of me berating him. Maybe
It worked though.
Maybe
It
I need to
worked.
like squeeze his butt, you know, and like say, "What a good boy, Rob, you're the best."
No, I
don't
think he
know,
likes
you know?
tough love. It works.
Yeah, I think
and
so,
he
too.
remembers it to this day with all the
Yeah.
details.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's dope, though.
But I want to
Love
talk
you,
about you know what's crazy is Benson was like talking about tea this time. So I'm gonna talk about sweet stuff. I guess.
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea. It's not sweet tea. But I want to talk about Final Bout.
Yeah.
Like, I'm repping Final Bout today in my Final Bout shirt. I
Final
love
Bout 2 shirt.
Oh yeah. But I love everything Final Bout. I remember going, and it's just one of my most memorable favorite types of like drift competitions that I've ever gone to. And now I kind
Super
of
dope.
don't want to see any other ones that are like solo runs or formula drift. Like I'm just like, take me back to Final Bout because it's just my favorite comp to watch here in the States. And so tell me about how Final Bout came about.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was birthed by Simba and Ilya, you know, and at that time it was, I guess, incubated by ClubFR, you know, because, you know, it was an idea that they had and they wanted to apply it to the format that we've been doing forever at US Air, but they were going to make their adjustments, right, in terms of course layouts and whatever, and then bring back, right, like curate, right, the right essence of style and visuals, right, and almost like a love letter to that era, right, or to our cars, you know what I mean, you know, and so I got to be a part of it because they asked me for like the back end stuff for the help, right, with the insurance and stuff. So kind of much like how Naoki was down to share whatever. I mean, obviously Simba's already part of this to begin with, but you know, like of course, like why wouldn't we do this? You know, like let's grow this, right? And so I got to work with them for the first 3 years or 4 years. So Final Bout 1, then the special stage years, and then Final Bout 2, and I think after that I was done. You know. But yeah, like that was I don't know, that was like really cool to conceptualize an event like that.
Yeah.
Because all the while I just think of it as, you know, maybe I'm the old dude, right, that only can see it from the old ways, right? And I'm thinking of it in a D1 or a Formula D like context of competition.
Yeah.
But here they are kind of like turning the canvas the other way and making you look at things differently, right?
Yeah.
So it was cool to be, you know, just doing the back end weird stuff, but then also kind of seeing like what they're intending to do, how they're communicating with people, right? How they're organizing it in a different way, right? And then like curating it and like, you know, and developing, you know, more teams. Like it's just, yeah, it's dope. You know?
Yeah.
And for, I mean, the listeners that don't know Final Bout, shame on you. Just give us a little like one-liner real quick about what that is.
Car show and drifting all in one place.
Team
Right.
drifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Team drifting. Yeah.
Yep.
Like you don't want, exactly. Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. Sorry, yeah,
But also car show inspired by early 2000s, late 90s Japanese drifting culture. Yeah.
basically
Very
the era
specific.
that a lot of us fell in love with, and
Yeah.
I think the one that aesthetically holds true still to this day.
Yeah.
And I think we'll stay just because
Yeah.
can't find these damn cars anymore.
Oh
Yep.
no, man.
Tell me
Right?
about it.
I know. How much for this? 30 grand? Does it run? No. What? It's a Corolla. It's an SR5.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
That pains me. I know you guys talk about this all the time. You know, we always sound like curmudgeons. But
I know.
Man, like
It's okay.
these prices, man.
It's all right. I'm good. Let's talk about cars. You want to?
Yeah. So you know, we kind of went. We kind of skipped through your love of hachirokus. I think. I think there was more hachiroku talk there.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about your love for hachirokus, and tell me about that one
That got
dark
away.
green one that got away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, hachirokus. It wasn't. I didn't fall in love with them as hachirokus. I fell in love with them with a different name.
Yeah.
They were called Twinkies.
Twinkies?
Cams.
Twin cams.
Twinkies or twin cams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my love of rotaries and Corollas comes from Puerto Rican people.
Yeah.
In Chicago, and also I noticed like East Coast, and I'm sure if there's Puerto Ricans out in Cali or whatever, but it must be like part of their national anthem or something like that. But they like love rotaries and Corollas.
Yeah.
It's like a thing.
Yeah.
Right, even in Puerto Rico, right? Like I have friends that go visit and they're like, "Yo, like there's these rotaries, this blah blah, R100s, whatever." Right, so through them, I got to discover like drag spec R100s that do like 9 seconds, and they're just revving, doing burnouts in a Chicago alley, right?
Yeah.
Like just wild, right? And Corollas that have like nitrous bottles and chrome, like it would be a 4 AC, not even a twin cam, and they still call it a Twinkie, and it would be a slicks and skinnies on a car that probably does like a 15-second quarter mile. It just sounds like it's dying,
Yeah.
But I loved it, and I idolized the dudes, that were all like, they were probably, some of them were drug dealers or whatever, right? But like in that community, it wasn't like a Ferrari or whatever, it was a Corolla or like an RX-3, and I loved that it was just like this obsession around them, and so it was infectious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted a rotary because of them, actually, which is also where the FC kind of comes in. I forgot to mention, but the Corolla is also my introduction to it was through them. So I thought it was this like cool little street car that you could rip around. Fast forward a couple years. My first one was once I discovered drifting recently. That's when I was like, you know what? Like, I love Corollas. I see this drifting. Here's $500, and and this Puerto Rican dude's gonna sell it to me, and it's like only 250,000 miles, and it's burning oil, and it still runs. So why not, right?
Yeah.
And then Josh and I go to this neighborhood called Humboldt Park, and we go pick it up, and then we drive that back, and we're huffing fumes.
Yeah.
And then we just go drift the parking lot of my apartment, and then that was kind of the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. And then the second one, I got it from another Puerto Rican dude who was like down on his luck. And so I got, posi welded, welded diff,
Yep.
and it had SR5 seats, and it smelled like Philly blunts. And and it was fast, and it had this terrible racing stripe on the side.
Oh yeah.
And I still bought it, because I wanted a coupe, because the first one was a hatch. And
So
I
you
wanted a
love
coupe.
your preference is coupes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Coupes are faster.
Okay.
There's a dude on ClubFR AG that had that handle, and I wanted it, but he wouldn't give it up. Yeah. So my preferences are coupes, 11 coupes to be exact. So then the third one was the 11 coupe, but before it was 11 coupe, it was a Trueno coupe, and it was actually a GTS that I got in NorCal.
Okay. That was the
flew
flat
out
black
there.
one.
Yeah, that was the flat black one.
Okay.
I bought this off of a listing on ClubFR AG.
Yeah.
And I flew out there with a friend of mine from college, my roommate, and we bought a one-way ticket. Andy, you might have met him. His name is Andy M. We might have met in K-Town a long time ago once and had dinner.
Sure, maybe.
Anyway, so he was my roommate, and we flew out, and it was April in Wisconsin. We were both going to school here at the university. And it was like midterms, like just finished, right?
Yeah.
And the weather, for some reason, it was like 70 degrees here. And usually April here is snow.
Yeah.
So what happened was I bought this plane ticket. I didn't even ask him. I just bought the plane ticket. And I was like, can you go? You know, because I got to go buy this fucking car. And he just didn't want to study. So I was like, cool, let's go. So we flew out to Sacramento.
Okay.
And then we went to, I think it was like Folsom, maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And we picked up this car from this like goofy kid with a cracking voice. And, you know, he's like, you know, excited that I flew all this way and then I'm going to drive it back. And then as soon as we get in the car and I give him the money, get the title, the whole nine, we see like snow falling. And people are like, oh, yeah, it's Northern California. It's fine.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's like the snow doesn't stop. And we're going up the mountains and we're trying to go through. And then we stop for gas and there's just like a blizzard warning.
Yeah.
So a blizzard is starting in NorCal, and we're basically driving the entire way with this car. And the reason why I went there is because I didn't want a car with any rust or whatever. Now we have to drive through places possibly with salt. So I was like,
you brought it with you.
Can't win.
You brought the weather with you.
Yeah.
What year was this?
This was 2005,
okay.
6.
And to break the hearts of every listener, how much did you pay for that car?
$1,800.
Yeah.
110,000 miles, no rust, straight frame,
GTS?
real GTS, kooky, 87, clean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no crack dash for all you 886 people out there.
Yeah.
Dash was clean as shit, right? The boots had no like dirt on it. Like the rubber was still good. It wasn't rotted. It was the black interior with the gray cards. Like it wasn't
you never see
red.
an 87.
Bro, the clean. It was just clean.
Yeah.
Like it was just all of it was clean. No sunroof, manual windows, right? You got to crank it too. All that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I drove this clean thing and I brought it back like into the salt, and it was so salty. Yeah. Oh, it didn't have a heater because it's out in Cali, and it was like this dude was trying to like prep it for Solo 2 or maybe whatever, Laguna Seca or something. I don't know. He was trying to like, it was on his way to like gutting it out, and he took out like the heater core, which I could have used on this trip. So it started fogging up. You can't see shit.
Yeah.
There's no windshield wipers. Like there was the motor was taken out for like to save weights. So the hoods had 2 holes where the nozzles would be. So we had to stop by a Walmart. We bought windshield wiper fluid. We bought spray bottles.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, we didn't do Rain-X.
Oh, you fool!
15 years later, now we think of this. I should have just hit you up. Yeah, and then we were just freezing our asses off. We would be layering up socks because it was so cold.
Yeah. But
then the sweat of our feet from having too many socks then ended up freezing. And then, it was all stupid. He still hates Corollas because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid. Is this the one?
But anyway.
Is that the one?
So that's the one. So this one became 11.
Okay. And like, tell us about that transformation from flat black to beautiful forest green 11 coupe.
So you know, I was broke for a minute, and then I ended up like scrapping some money together, selling some camera parts, this and that, right? And I ended up like finding on Club4 AG somebody that would be selling me the front end, right? Mm-hmm. And then I would have to piece together this headlight. I didn't know about Yahoo Auctions, and I don't think it was that big at that time.
Yeah. You had to have a contact in Japan to get.
I think I hit up Ray at Wheel Choice at one point.
Okay.
To be like, yo, like, is there? I forget his last name. But yeah, I was trying to see if he can get stuff because at that time I remember he was bringing in like Kaz and SSR wheels and and like these parts that nobody really had, and even like Toge Factory didn't have access to because they were doing S chassis stuff, 240 stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So I was just desperate. I was fiending. I was hitting up everybody. But eventually I found some people that ripped me off on Club4 AG because they could. And I spent too much for a hood that arrived dented. I bought some headlights that weren't the same. One was Zenki, one was Kuki, right? Like it was just mismatched parts. But I finally got all the things. And then I bought the bumper, 11 bumper from Dave, TF Dave.
Okay.
And then I finally put it together. And then,
what kind of bumper was it?
Virgin Select. It was a Vertex knockoff.
Okay.
I can say that, right?
Yeah, you can say that. What kind of wheels?
Watanabe's 15 inches. Yeah, I should have gone 14s, but yeah.
15 by what?
15 by 8.5. -6. It's okay.
All around?
Yeah, all around. But I messed up because I put Origin over fenders on the back.
Oh,
So then they just look sunken afterwards trying to get spacers. I was like, I didn't think this through.
Yeah.
Right? So you get like 25 millimeter spacers to push them back out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stupid.
It's all
And
good.
I spent all the spring break just working on that car with Rob in Dave's old shop, which was basically a loading dock.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't snitch on him on that. Yeah. But yeah,
And how long did you have it where it was?
So so that car,
that?
I finally got it painted, and
Yeah.
the whole nine. Like it just, it was like heartbreaking to get it there.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, she was using my car. She dropped me off at work, and then she drove it to Simba's house to go hang out over there. Along the way, she rear-ended a Ford Explorer, I think.
Ooh.
And it wasn't really assembled well because I had everything zip tied. So once like you hit one thing, it just kind of like unsprung all the zip ties, and then just everything just like, it was just, it exposed my shitty craftsmanship.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, and that was, I remember getting a phone call at work, and it was just sobbing, and I'm like, okay, cool, and I just hung up. Right?
Yeah.
I figured something terrible happened. I'm like,
Yeah.
And then after that, it kind of shifted things for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just spent like so much
put
time and
everything
energy
into that.
and money. Yeah. And I don't know. I was so obsessed and I was so determined to get it done. And then that happened and it was just, I was depleted.
Yeah.
Like financially, emotionally, right? And so it just kind of was, yeah.
But
It hurt.
that's not the whole story on that car, is it?
What tea are you sipping from?
I don't know. I'm
Did you
just
do
I
any
mean, did you go to the
streeting
did
car?
you take the bus ever?
Oh, yeah. What do you mean? So what about me taking the bus to see Rob?
No,
No.
bro. Like a bus stop?
Like sitting at a bus stop.
Oh, you mean when I drifted into a bus stop?
Oh, I don't know.
that was the
We didn't
second
say
one.
that.
That was
I
the
don't
second
know.
one.
I don't
The
know
second
what you're
one. The
talking
second
about.
Oh, okay.
That was the second one.
Okay.
Second one.
So
I was
not
like, all right, here's a corner. Nobody's around, right? Like, all right. Like, I feel good about this.
Wait, this is your second coupe?
The second one, right. The second
Okay.
car was a coupe.
Right.
So the first one was a hatch, and then the second one was a coupe. The second one was like the welded diff, the whole nine, and it was like Puerto Rican out for sure. And yeah, I spun out, and then I went into a bus stop. Luckily, nobody was waiting to catch the 2 a.m. bus. Yeah.
The 2 a.m. bus.
Yeah.
You
And
wrapped
then,
you wrapped it, huh?
Yeah. No. What happened was like my SR5 seat broke and I ended up in the back seat. So then I got back in the front seat and I clipped the back of the seat back on and I drove away. And then I found out my axle was bent. So I was just wobbling
Oh, man.
all the way
Oh
home.
my god.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I was a dumb kid.
That's rough.
I was a dumb kid.
So,
I'm still a dumb kid.
yeah, I mean, you said
He
that.
said yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not agreeing with
I
you.
wouldn't say.
I mean, we were all dumb kids. Come on.
Yeah.
It's kind of your journey with cars up until that point was just like, you had your passions and your interests, and something was always getting in the way from letting you
Hard knocks.
you enjoy the car. Like
I
to
know.
this day, I have not seen you drift,
I know. It's
but-
rare footage.
but you've got a Corolla now,
Yeah.
Oh.
and you've been driving.
Oh.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So
That's so
it's
dope.
it's so cool to see that life has finally allowed you
Yeah, I know.
to enjoy a Corolla.
You earned
As soon
it.
as I got a car, that I
Yeah.
could finally drive. I end up having a damn kid. So
Yeah.
I'm like stuck to the kid now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your car now.
The car is originally built by Rob
Mm-hmm.
in Toge Factory. It's a coupe,
Oh.
85, white, clean frame, and it has a beam swap in it.
Okay.
So now, like I've been like eating scraps for a while,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden I got like this nice steak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it feels weird, right? To like power over,
What?
in a Corolla.
What?
Yeah. It feels weird.
Yeah.
It feels weird. Yeah. But I'm also not just saying it feels weird because of the beams, but it feels weird to just be driving, right? Because I spent all this time like watching others, you know?
Yeah.
And then like trying to get my like get to my part, you know, to my
What
time.
what was that like spending all those years? So ClubFR is 20 years old
Yeah, yeah.
now, right? Started in
Yeah,
2003. It's now it's 2023.
Yeah.
You spent a long time watching,
Yeah, not driving.
not driving. Like, how
Yeah.
was that for you?
I mean, it sucks sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You know? But then, I don't know, like, I think it got to the point where I still did the events and I didn't maybe love it as much at one point, you know? And I had started having, you know, I had different interests. I found, like, you know, a different grind. I started taking more photos and started getting more work with photography.
Yeah.
And so, like, these different doors started opening up, right? So the things that I think that I've learned from doing these events as a knucklehead kid, right, kind of gave me a chance to not make those same mistakes again on these other ventures, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of used that, I think, in different ways. So not as a consolation, but, you know, I'm trying to look at things that I've gained, not lost, you know, and yeah, like there are times where I wanted to drive for sure, you know, but I don't know, I just got to the point where I just wanted to be around it at the very least.
Yeah.
You know, so that when I can come back around to it,
Yeah.
I'll still have access to it, right?
Yeah.
And here we are now, right?
Yeah.
I stuck around where I finally came back around to it, and like I was able to buy it from Rob, you know, and like, yeah, now I get to play with it. So I appreciate that he built it, you know, with me in mind as well,
Yeah.
you know.
Did he have
But,
Did he have you in mind when he put a Beams engine in there?
Yeah, he did, I think. But like not. It's like him being a protective parent or something like that, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
he wants what's best for him, not for me, you know, but he wants it to still be best for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I understand, right? Because his argument is like, dude, you have all the power now. You don't got to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, well, I want to struggle. But then sometimes I'm kind of glad he didn't. Right?
Yeah. It's a newer engine, less to go wrong,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But then I wish
see
he
that.
kept the interior because, like, it's such an uncomfortable car.
Yo, it's
at my
loud
age.
AF in there, man.
Yeah, you've been in there.
I've
Yeah,
been in
it's-
there. I've been in that 4-hour trip to Shawano.
Oh, God, you drove up in it?
Yeah, I wish I was in some other car,
Fool.
but
Foolish.
foolish.
Yeah.
We
Well,
both
yeah.
we both had earplugs in. Like
Yeah.
it's a 4-hour ride, right? So you're like yelling. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just agreeing to.
Yeah.
you don't even
What?
know
What did
you're
you
talking
say?
about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ain't expensive. Oh, I know, right? Yeah. It's loud. And then you get out and you have like the ringing in your ears.
It's just ringing for hours. Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta spray foam that thing.
Yeah. No.
I'll send you
that's
some.
That's a midlife
Mark's got a
crisis car
trick.
now for
Yeah.
Mark's got a trick for you.
Oh,
me.
Mark.
Wait. Wait, spray foam. Is this one of those early season 1 stories about
Yeah,
like
man.
dumb things you did to your car?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? I thought he rolled
stupidest-
his car with paint.
No.
Close, yeah.
Close.
He puts like some bed liner in. You put bed liner in there.
Oh yeah, that's
Spray
what it was. That's what it
undercoating.
was.
Spray undercoating, but
That'll
it
never dry
It
again.
didn't dry, so it's
Yeah.
just everything stuck to it.
That's so dope.
We'll send you
It makes
some.
it yours. It makes
Yeah,
it
that
yours.
makes it yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you
no
know
matter
your
who
seat
buys
won't
a
fall
car, it's
out.
always Mark's dumbass car.
Yeah. That's what happened. I ended up giving it away because I can't sell it like this. It's like, you take over this problem.
Oh my god.
And it's like, oh, for real? Yeah, no, you'll be sorry. Yeah, take it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the Corolla now. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I don't know. This is when I was complaining earlier about the prices. I wish it wasn't as expensive so that I can go into like I want even like daily a stock one now, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
at that part in my life where I have a friend, Fred Kaneko,
Fred
right?
Kaneko.
Yeah, he has a right-hand drive 11 hatch.
Yeah.
And he's in like hanging out like at car meets with his kid Yuta with the car seat in there since he was like 7, 8 years old, right? Like
Yeah.
that's so dope. Like I want
Yeah.
that now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like this car right now is better suited for my 20-something-year-old dumbass self,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like uncomfortable and a stupid thing to drive on the street.
Yeah.
Now I want like that car, but I want like the 80s, like, you know, like accoutrements, you know?
Mhm.
So you mentioned your baby,
Mm.
Savian. So tell
Yes.
us about like, has becoming a dad changed your drifting life? Like, how is it now? And what do you see, like, for Savian's future too? Like, with you drifting and like, is that a part of your lifestyle now? And just tell me about being a drifter dad now.
I mean, like, taking him up to events to organize, for like events. Like, I mean, I'm doing it with Simba, and we got a new crew too, so I get to just really just go up there and hang out with him, But I don't know, I hope he likes cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he seems to like everything that I like, and laugh at everything that I laugh at, right? So it's kind of cool, right? I'll fart and I'll laugh, and then he'll laugh. And he's like not even 2 years old, right? So he understands, like, like he can fart jokes already. Like, that's cool. So hopefully that means, like, he can enjoy cars and maybe not make the same mistakes as I did.
Yeah.
Because I grew up where my parents, like, cars are a box you get into to get to work and be miserable and come back home, right?
Yeah.
It was never seen as like, like luxury or this and that. And I think there were attempts at keeping up with the Joneses, and they had like an act legend at one point, but it wasn't like, they didn't look at it as like this, like valuable thing, right?
Yeah.
They looked at it maybe as like a thing that we just do when we make money, right? We'll buy a nicer car, right? But I looked at it as a 3.2 with this transmission and this and that. And so, like, I wish I was like some other people where they had it in their household, where it was like bred into like their lifestyle. So I'm hoping that for him, without force feeding it to him, that he'll be down for it, right?
Yeah.
But then another part of it is like, I don't know, that money pit sucks,
Tell me about it.
Maybe we should have gone on another trip or somewhere, instead, right? So I think just, I don't know. But I think it's probably the best thing is just to show him how to be obsessive about something and just do it,
Yeah.
Whether it be cars or not. So if he watches this and watches his Uncle Simba and Chob and Josh and Rob and all these uncles and sees them still like with their gray beards and their bad backs and still trying to get into cars that are too low for them.
Yeah.
And maybe he doesn't want to do it, but he still gets inspired that, hey, when you love something, you act a fool until you shouldn't be doing it. And you keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully that is the most important lesson that he learns, not necessarily cars. You know?
What's cool, I mean, you did mention those guys, like Chob and Melvin and Josh. Like, you guys, Rob too, you guys all had kids around the same time.
Yeah.
And so you guys have a bunch of kids running around. They're all around the same age. Like, what is that like?
Yeah.
Like going through your stages with cars, now doing the family thing all around the same time. Like, what is that like?
I mean, I don't know. It feels like we're growing up, but also, like, I don't know. It's nice to be, I guess, in tandem with other people with that.
Yeah.
I wish I lived closer to them, so that I could spend more time with them and our kids spend time together,
Yeah.
But like, even still from afar, like, it's just, I don't know. It feels right that we're all kind of doing this together, right? And we also have like you guys modeling it for us with your like whatever 20-some kids that live in the house,
Plus or minus.
Grow them on trees, just pick them off every year,
I wish. We only have 4, kind of 3 now because she's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like part of it. I don't know, to give you guys your flowers, right? It's cool to see you guys doing the family thing, but also being front and center in like the faction of motorsports that we're a part of, right? And to still be active in it, engaging with us, OGs, new school, right? Like doing all that stuff while having kids. Yeah, like I think that's kind of what gives us more confidence. That's like, hey, like you guys are still building, with kids, right? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
And like there are times where I got 1. Some of them got 2 now. Y'all have like 20. And I'm like, how do you do it? And still maintain yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think that's always the biggest challenge. And that's what I love seeing is that even though, you've had a kid, you haven't lost yourself. And actually, you've even come back to basics and you're driving again. So it's like,
yeah.
And we envy that too, because Benson and I can't drive as much as you do. And, and I think that that's the hardest part of being a parent and having a passion is just not losing yourself in that, like losing yourself in parenthood and remembering like you still need to go back to your passions and balance that in your life. And It's not for everyone.
I think it's
for sure.
important to not lose yourself, because you want to be an example to your kids, and you want to be passionate about life, and to show your children that there's so much to life that they can experience, and being happy is one of the most important things. So
yeah, for sure.
Facts. So yeah, I mean, like, I think it's cool that we have, like, before our kids, right? We had each other, to kind of like sound off on like our builds and this and that, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, I was like a month and a half ago, I was talking to Melvin, and he's just like, "Yo, this play park, man, is like it's $300, perfect for a birthday party, right?" And so it's like we're bringing the same energy, but we're now transferring that to like how we want to like fulfill our children's like happiness, right?
Yeah.
And so it's cool, right, to be able to share that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a trip though. I never thought I'd be having kids. I looked at you guys as kids, I'm like, nah, I'm good. How?
And you are
too
such
selfish.
a good dad. And then we've seen you in
good.
action. You're
I'm
good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good.
You're in love.
Yeah.
I can tell.
I love my kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever spank him. Maybe once. I don't know, just to see what it feels like.
Yeah.
No. It's like, is this for me? Is this for me? No.
Ain't like it was when we were growing up, right?
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Very different.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully he could take, heed to what we're doing, and then hopefully he can be friends with their kids. That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Speaking of your kids, Savion watches this or learns about what you've done for the culture.
Yeah.
Like, what's the most important thing that you want to pass on to him from your experience with drifting in the last 20 plus years?
Oh yeah, I mean, what do I want to pass? I guess don't listen to what other people say.
Preach.
Just don't be shook, right? Like people gonna hate, right? I don't know. There wasn't a lot of haters, but there was a lot of negativity for sure. People that were either too scared or they just had like a pessimistic approach. It's like, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I've come this far. Yeah. Right. Because I guess I don't think of it as like those motivational posters that you see like in, like the principal's office, achieve and some eagle or whatever. Right. Like I think of it as just like, this is what I want. Why should I stop? Right.
Yeah.
And maybe every now and then do some like auditing or like, is this hurting somebody or is this bad for, you know what I mean? But outside of that, right, it's like, just go for it, right? I think about those dark times. Oh, don't go it alone either. Don't go it alone, right? I think that's another important thing, because it took more than myself to do it, right? I can't take credit for everything, right? Like it happened through partnerships, through friendships or whatever. Yeah. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And you've always got pops if you don't have anyone else.
Yeah. Don't get a credit card when you're 18 when you go to college and they give you a $2,000 credit limit.
They get us all like that.
He only gave me $500. What the heck? 2,000.
Man.
I got $500.
Yeah. And this was like before you could buy stuff so easy on the internet, so you had to like go buy it. You know what I mean? Not like some Amazon, I'll just buy this,
Yeah.
It's
like I thought about it and I still decided to make this bad decision. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to read some of the things that people have said about you. Are you ready for this?
This is a eulogy?
Let me get like some tissue out, because this guy is loved. You are loved.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's paragraphs on this.
I'll read you one from Josh.
Yeah.
And then you can read the next one. You want to like alternate? Okay. Josh from Proceed. He says...
Josh M.
He says, Phill is our motto. And for those of you who do not know motto, he founded ClubFR, was is still very influential out in SoCal and West Coast with Corollas, hachirokus, Toyotas. He is the one who co-founded Drift Association and hosted drifting events for us in SoCal, and he really did so much for drifting in SoCal, and the rest of the U.S.
Season 1, episode 4.
Yeah.
We interviewed him.
So Josh
Yep.
says, Phill is our motto. He's very special to many people, and I wish more people can spend more time with him. And you should really...
Thanks, Josh.
We talked to Josh, and like
That's dope.
Josh was very, very passionate when it came to talking about you and giving you your flowers and saying how important you are to the people of the Midwest, and specifically him.
That's dope.
All
Appreciate
right.
you, Josh. I mean, yeah. Can I say something?
No.
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Get in your box.
No, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Get it.
All right,
Get it. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, like, how I feel, about him as well, right? Like, he was such an important part of me shifting into a different direction in my life, right? That as the trajectory has led me to talking to you guys, even, right?
Yeah.
I remember just, like, it was a different day, meeting all these people from this era, right? Like, really shifted the way that I saw myself and how I moved in the world, because I was like a stray dog, kind of, I was just kind of sniffing around, kicking cans, and like these people like gave me like tangible like purpose, and gave me passion and reinvigorated like the things that I always loved, and we got to share it together. So like, it's just more than Instagram likes or whatever it is these days. The kids are doing on TikTok and all that, and my Facebook. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, okay, I'm sorry.
Here's the
You
next
guys
bunch
had
of
to-
flowers for you. I'm going to hand it to you right now.
All right.
Simba.
Oh damn, you gonna
Oh,
talk shit.
dang. Here we go. Phill kept the ship afloat through all of the hard times. He made ClubFR legitimate and professional. If it was up to the rest of the young punk kids to run ClubFR, it wouldn't have lasted as long as it has. Now kids are asking me how to run drift events, and I'm realizing how complicated it is and that it's a very long conversation. So that was Simba.
Yeah, that was through a
dope.
lot of things that he learned from like watching you, and now he's doing a lot with ClubFR. He's taking on a lot of responsibilities and taking over a lot of your previous responsibilities, and he's learned like this is not easy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
dope.
Okay, the last
Thanks,
one.
Simba.
The last one's from your bosom buddy Rob. So Rob says, Phill is ClubFR's backbone and wordsmith extraordinaire.
Oh.
He transforms ideas into action, and his organizational skill is second to none. Where would Chicago drifting be without his involvement and quick wit? I'm not sure, but definitely not as successful and a lot less fun.
Oh.
That's dope. Thanks, Rob. It sounded like a LinkedIn.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
He
had
rewrote
his,
that
like-
like 2 or 3 times.
I think he had his like little
No, that's
corporate hat
His
on.
corporate hat, yeah.
It's like, let me
Mr.
tell you
Businessman Rob.
about
yeah.
Philip Lee.
That's dope. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
can't y'all say it to my face? Why do you gotta say it to them so that they can say it to me?
Because they probably do tell you all the time, and it just rolls right off. Because
No,
that's
I'm
what they
playing,
told
I'm
me that
playing.
it would be
I'm
like.
playing.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think for me, or can I speak? Oh, I don't know.
Of
Oh,
course.
no. Reflect,
Yeah.
baby. Reflect.
I mean, I think, like, I know it's about cars and all this stuff, right? But for me, for sure, like, I think the more important denominator is, like, these relationships, right? Like, I get to do this with you.
Yeah.
Before we did this at the Hat, and I saw an orange Julius
We didn't
machine
even-
behind
we
you.
didn't even
and
talk
some
about that.
pastrami. I'm just saying, right? But like, I mean, like we're at these points where I get to reflect in my life where I'm not like dying or whatever, right? But we get to reflect a little bit because we're coming to this space where what we did together, separately, even, right? You're a part of the world and us, right? Like it's now unified, right? And we're kind of part of this. I don't know, this important thing that we decided to do together.
Yeah.
And we have these relationships that like you can't really commonly share this with anybody.
Yeah.
And it's like a time capsule. So like the references are like, you had to kind of have experienced it in order to really feel it.
Yeah.
Even though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's cool to be able to talk about this in the sense of where Mark was telling me, where like think of it as like there's people that haven't really like heard these stories and they don't understand like how drifting was like a challenge in all these other ways before. Right, because when I'm talking to your faces, like like what do I gotta say? Like we look at each other.
We did
right?
it together, so you were
But
there.
then to say it out loud is
Yeah.
also kind of cool, right? Like it kind of makes me feel proud of each other.
Yeah,
And like I'm still proud of you guys, right? Like I remember when you guys were in Super Street, I was like, yo, these people are just like, well, who, like, what are they? They're like just incredible, right? Like I just was, and then meeting you guys, you were like celebrities essentially in a way to us, I know, and then to have access to you guys and just to realize that we're like no different, right? All of that, right? And now you're seeing like people like Hurt, right, getting his flowers and getting his shine, right? Like that's dope too, right? To see that there's this progression, like it's like coming from drifting, like we can like find our ways to like support each other and become more mainstream successful, whatever, right? In those type of ways too. Like I think that's super dope, right? Like, and so I'm proud of that. Like the foundation that we're all a part of and that we've got to also receive from across the sea. Yeah. And that this is the thing that's like connecting us in this way, Yeah. And then you got to take pictures or you tried to take pictures of my kid, you know what I mean?
Not fair. I got COVID. I couldn't do it. I sent my people. Sorry.
I know. And
I'm
you
coming
took care
to you
of me
next.
for real. That was dope.
I'm coming to you next.
But the point is, and I get to see what like our friend's wedding shooting, right? Like all that stuff, and you guys are out in Cali, so it's like just super, like just unreal that we get to have these relationships coming from just playing with our cars.
Yeah, preach. For sure.
Yeah,
it's I'm even more excited when you move here.
Yeah, I mean, give me a minute. Yeah, this real estate game is hard.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Just got to rent.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
We'll find you a place.
Yeah. And I just realized you mentioned going to the hat with us, and I remember that was the first time we met, right?
Yeah.
But just like, when you came out to D1.
Well, no, RSR, but that was like a different circumstance setting, right?
Benson doesn't even remember.
Yeah.
Because we hung out with you after RSR. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to the party with Alex Pfeiffer.
No, you didn't. Right. That's what I mean. So like we met like on the track or whatever, but but you didn't go to Crab's Garage and see him whip out his.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
God.
I've probably seen it already anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
it.
you came over here and we brought you the hat, and then we went over there. We had Portillo's, so it's like a nice exchange, right?
Yeah, we're sharing beef. Yeah.
Literally.
Our local beef. Yeah. And then you guys got Portillo's, and then you didn't need to come back anymore. No.
We still got
Pequods or
still got Pequods. Yeah, still got.
That's true.
There's another one.
Yeah.
There's one more. I don't remember.
Yeah. No, but I'm gonna close this out unless you have any like final thoughts. Thank yous.
No, I mean, yeah, I guess I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Mark, who doesn't get his shine. No, he does. Obviously all the homies, right? People that chimed in to like say nice words, even though they didn't have to or didn't want to. Appreciate y'all too. I don't know. I guess, it's unreal to hear that, but also, it's cool to hear it too, right? It's like, I guess I didn't do something too terrible, and life isn't over yet, right? And so hopefully there's more drift days, where we can get old and be still, I don't know how it's going to look, to be honest. When you see like Rolling Stones on stage and they're still performing, it's like, ugh, like just sit down, and like, is that what it's going to look like with us?
I hope not.
We're just going to,
we'll look good.
Like, when do we stop?
Yeah.
When your kids run it.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, but then doesn't that mean you just drive more then? Or I'm just saying, like, as like, when are you going to ever stop driving?
Hell no.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That'd be cool. Like someone ripping it up, and then it's like an 80-year-old Nadine stepping out.
Damn straight.
Just got whooped.
I won't even wear a helmet.
I hope there'll be a lot of us 80-year-olds drifting.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of. I mean, you know what I mean?
Why
Like, is
not?
that the future? I don't know. You know.
It might be good for our health.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Keep us,
Yeah.
fit.
The heart circulating a little bit.
The over 80 club.
Yeah.
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 There it is.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you.
For being our beacon, early on too.
It was just us having the opportunity to do it early, and of course we wanted to foster that wherever we could. And if you guys had questions, we were always willing to help in any way. Like you saw that with Naoki. I did that a lot of times with Rob. It was awesome to see drifting spread.
Yeah.
And thanks to you really helped foster something special in the Midwest with the unique what made Chicago unique with its drifting style and cars and how seeing it grow from small ClubFR events to Final Bout today, and seeing how Chicago is still influencing the world with drifting.
Yeah, that's dope.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But thanks to you, like flowers to you for keeping the ship afloat. And I know you don't want to take credit for all of it, but you did a lot of work, and you did a lot of hard work when times were tough.
Yeah.
And you were there the whole time. And you're still 20 years later, you're still doing it. You're still involved.
Yep.
Even while raising a kid, running two businesses. So appreciate you for everything that you've done, and and paving the way for awesome things to happen. So
dope. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate y'all. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on, and let's get together soon, man.
Okay, I'm hugging you guys right now.
Air hug.
Big hug. Group hug.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Phill.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you too, man. Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Salady Mania Podcast Season 2, brought to you by Falcon Tires, produced by Benson Sue and Nadine Sue, audio and video engineering by Mark Mondoy, graphic design and motion graphics by Steve Nakamura. Got a question or comment for us? Call or text us on our hotline at 323-607-6075, and maybe you can be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you download your podcasts.